Zohran Mamdani's opponents want you to believe he's an inexperienced radical whose policies will make New York City more dangerous. But what do his actual supporters think?
Mamdani isn't crazy.
He's just trying to even the playing field.
Give everyone a fair shot. Sure, he said multiple times we need to defund the police, but that was just a metaphor.
And yes, he did say crime is a social construct. But that was also a metaphor.
His main backer, the Democratic Socialists' ideas are common sense, such as
decriminalizing misdemeanors, like shoplifting,
third-degree assault, trespassing, prostitution,
And drunk driving.
with plans to decriminalize all drugs. Mamdani will be a job creator for drug dealers.
Instead of helping us homeless get off the streets and into the mental health facilities we need, he wants to give us safe injection sites to do crack and let us sleep in subway carts.
These are actual policies Mamdani and the DSA want to implement on day one.
When a woman's being domestically abused, she finally won't have to deal with some pesky cop to arrest the abuser, but now a social worker to help, kumbaya the situation.
Breathe in, breathe out.
Mamdani is finally lowering jail sentences.
Guilty!
but Mamdani says you're free to go.
Who cares if legalizing prostitution statistically leads to an increase for sex trafficking of women and young girls by 70%?
You can't have safety without equality.
For unlawful abiding citizens like us, globalize the intifada.
I'm a criminal. I'm a criminal. I'm a criminal.
I'm a criminal.
Yep. I'm a criminal.
For Zohran.
for Zohran Mamdani.
I didn't have a real job until I was 30, but sure, give me the keys to the city. What's the worst that can happen?
Paid for by Cuomo for NYC.
You know, it's been very interesting to watch all of this stuff play out over the last several months. But it's very, very hard to argue with that now pulled ad from the former governor of the state of New York running as the independent Andrew Cuomo. We'll be talking about that a little bit later, but I want to welcome you all. Thank you for joining us. This is APOSTATE Radio, episode 32. And I am Isaiah Carter. I'm here live from the heights of Westchester County now. Coming to you to the right on your screen is a very, very happy Real Madrid, an ecstatic fan of Real Madrid. Even though we are not, we swear we're not a soccer podcast, but this he's happy as hell, boy.
Let's not overdo it because I'm this is just Barcelona. Fuck Barcelona.
Well, I can't say that. You know what's messed up? I never followed La Liga. I used
to watch it all the time, every single game, Real Madrid game. I've become a bit more of a casual, but I was a huge Madridista for a long time, for 12, 14 years, something like that.
Well, I'll tell you this: my Ravens finally won today. In American football, the Ravens won.
You're the one that's ecstatic, I think, brother.
Oh, I'm in my purple. Shit. It's the first. Let me see. We lost 5 in a row. No, I'm sorry. We lost 4 in a row. Lamar didn't play, and they handled business at home. And hopefully we'll get to. Hopefully that'll be the beginning of a good run. I do want to give an honorable mention, though, to Cam Scatterbo of the New York Giants. Dude went down with a very nasty ankle injury today.
Ugh, can't watch those.
Yeah. Very nasty. Yeah, prayers up for him. I don't want to go into sports, obviously, but since we're talking New York and I have enjoyed the chemistry between him and Jackson Dart. I have to shout him out. So shout out to Cam. Get well soon. Last thing, before we get to the meat and potatoes of this, I'm also wearing, if you can see, I have the Jamaican flag. Hurricane Melissa is currently churning in the Caribbean as a Category 4 hurricane. Sustained winds right now of 140 miles per hour. It is moving towards Jamaica, towards Kingston, actually. The south coast of the island. It is moving at 5 miles an hour. It's expected to make landfall Tuesday. I just want to send prayers up for my wife Kareen's family, who's down there. A lot of extended family down there. Uncle, shout to cousin Chester. He's a lot of good people that still in her family that live down there. So I just want to give a shout out to
stay safe, everybody.
Yeah, stay safe down there, please. Big up yourself. I hope she'll be proud of that, by the way. Anyways, we got a lot to get to tonight. Of course, as always, follow us individually, Isaiah L. Carter, or at Nino Chavez X. We have been busy. Lots of things been happening. Also, our show page, Apostate Radio NY. We've got Nino's. What fund are we going to call this? Are we still?
This is the sacred underwear, man. The holy underwear. Fun, man. I got to do something about it.
Yeah.
I mean,
if you want to
trick or treating in these things, yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, we gotta get ready for that, dude. So buymeacoffee.com/apostate radio. We have also I just want to something new that just added. We have an apostate radio Venmo. So you can Venmo us directly if you don't want to go through buymeacoffee.com. We have Venmo, and there are some other options available. Subscriptions are also available at $5 a month, and then Apostate Radio merch is now available at inc.com. Yes, lots of good stuff. Okay, so all right, enough of the business. Boy, oh boy, the early voting has begun in New York City. The Big Apple will be choosing a brand new resident of Gracie Mansion over the next couple of weeks. There are 11 days of early voting, and then Election Day, which will be forthcoming. We have 3 people that will be that are currently in the race. You have Zoran Kwame Mamdani, who is an avowed democratic socialist. Please do not be fooled, ladies and gentlemen, by that bit of wordplay. He is a communist, and we're going to be talking about that with our guest. We also have the former governor of New York State, and running now for the mayor's position, Andrew Cuomo. And then, of course, he was a Democrat. He still technically is a Democrat, if we're going to be honest. And he lost in the Democratic primary, and now is running as an independent. Eric Adams did the same thing. Eric Adams dropped out about a week or two ago, I want to say. Yeah, about a week or two ago. And finally, last but certainly not least, is someone that we have had on our show several months ago on our 14th episode, the founder of the Guardian Angels, Mr. Red Beret, a lover of cats and animals all across the 5 boroughs, Mr. Curtis Sliwa. I was about to say Adam Sliwa.
You're thinking of Eric Adams.
You know what? I invented a whole new fucking person. You know what? I need more coffee.
That's why you gotta buy us a coffee, everybody.
Exactly right. New York City right now there's a lot of moving parts. a lot of discussion, a lot of heated debate as to who they want to drop out. You've got Cuomo. You have Cuomo supporters who are asking for Curtis Sliwa to drop out. You have Sliwa supporters who are telling Cuomo that he needs to drop out. And there are a lot of arguments to be made on both sides. Okay. Coming to talk to us tonight about from the pro Sliwa side is a man who I respect very much. He is a hero of the COVID era. He was directly affected by the Adams administration when they decided to go whole hog on the whole COVID ridiculousness. He was directly affected as a result of it. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to announce to present to you the host of the finest unfiltered podcast, Lieutenant John Macari. How are you, my brother?
Hey, what's up, fellas? Honor to be here. Pleasure to be here with you tonight.
Thank you, man. Great to see you. Great to see you.
John.
How many dumbbells do you have back there? I meant to ask you when I
I got a lot, bro. I got a lot. This is my podcast studio / gym. So I could slide the gym out, but it just became like a mainstay. So I keep my dumbbells over here. Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
That's how you do it.
So before I ask you your opinion about the Cuomo ad, if you could just give our watchers, listeners, if you could tell them about yourself, who you are, what you did, and if you could tell us about that, about the situation with that doctor that you told me about a few months ago.
Yeah, sure. So appreciate you guys having me on. Thanks everybody for joining us tonight. So my name's John Macari. I grew up Bensonhurst, Brooklyn. I lived in New York City my entire life. I was born and raised Little Means. My father was a Vietnam veteran, disabled, suffered from terrible PTSD. My mother was a school crossing guard. You know, I grew up in an apartment building. Later on in life, I moved to Staten Island. I became a cop in my early 20s. I went and worked for the NYPD. I was always like, I wasn't a great student, but I wasn't a bad student. I always did very well in school. I just didn't apply myself correctly. Got in a little trouble when I was a kid. Nothing bad. Was always a nice kid. My mother and father taught me to treat people with respect, especially elderly people, people that were weaker than me, disabled people. They always taught me like a good set of values. Plus, they raised me Roman Catholic, which I still remain involved in the church today. So I follow the teachings of Jesus Christ. I was a NYPD lieutenant. I served 18 years in the NYPD. I had a great career. Never was the subject of discipline. The community loved me. My supervisors loved me. My subordinates loved me. People that worked with me loved me. And then Eric Adams instituted the COVID mandate, and I became a villain overnight. I went from a person who was infected in the line of duty early on with COVID-19 to person being accused of spreading it, even though I had natural provable antibodies for it. I almost went out of the picture during COVID. I got real bad pneumonia. First time in my career, I was out sick, like for a little while, for over a month. When I got back to work, the NYPD doctors had told me, listen, this vaccine's coming out. We recommend you don't take it. You have a very high level of antibodies in your body, and we see adverse side effects happen when people try to put more in their body. We don't recommend that you take it. No problem. And then next thing I know, I'm being threatened. You have 7 days to take the shot or you're going to be terminated. I submitted a religious exemption, as well as a request for a medical exemption, citing my provable antibodies with my blood test, which proved my antibodies were through the roof. The only thing I was ever told by the medical division on the NYPD was that I would be terminated in 7 days. My medical exemption and my religious exemptions were immediately denied. And I believe that was because I was pretty well liked in the NYPD. I had a big voice, and I raised a little bit of a stink about it. So at that point, I was like, I'm not going to get fired. I opted for an early retirement. I consider that I was forced out, that I was terminated, because I really giving me an ultimatum. the ultimatum was be fired or put it in your body. And I just, in good conscience, couldn't do it. I stayed up night after night. It was my entire career. I was planning on being a captain. I was planning on staying in the NYPD till I was an old man. Never thought about leaving the NYPD, but I was just putting in this horrible situation. I wrestled with God for a few nights, and I ultimately came to the conclusion that I can't let another man tell me what I believe to be the truth and what is the truth or not. And I wouldn't be able to live with myself. And I basically put it as it was being raped, and I couldn't do it. I was like, I can't do this. I was like, it's one thing if you hold me down. It's a total other thing if you're telling me get on your knees and I'm going to stick this in your body, and you're going to sign off on the fact that you agree with all this. Couldn't do it. So I left my career. I then, I've been paying attention to New York City a long time. Like I said, I'm a New York City kid. I lived there my whole life. So I've seen the politics involved in New York City. I've been firsthand account involved in many numerous tragedies in New York City, not even just as a police officer, just growing up there as well. And I saw how politics infected everything. So I began speaking out on social media about the ills of New York City politics, how it affected policing. I founded the podcast, New York's Finest Retired Unfiltered Podcast. It grew into the Finest Unfiltered platform. And that's it. And then so I've been doing that. I've been interviewing mayoral candidates. I pretty much had every Democratic nominee candidate on, including Zohran Mamdani. The only two that would not come on my show is Eric Adams and Andrew Cuomo. And that's because I have been speaking out on them online and a lot for a long time. And they're very familiar with me. And although I'm respectful to everyone, I don't think they wanted to answer the questions I would ask. And so, so with that, I kind of entered the political sphere as well as just in the law enforcement. So like I said, I appreciate you guys having me here. And, I'm looking forward to this discussion.
We're looking forward to it as well. So you actually had Zohran on the show. I think I remember seeing clips of you asking questions of Zohran regarding his stance on the COVID mandates, and he didn't give you an answer that you were particularly looking for. You tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I equated it. My good friend, member of the Finest Unfiltered, Marlon Bethel, is a first-generation immigrant. Came to this country, became a member of the NYPD. He was a first-grade detective in the intelligence division. He was fighting against terrorism in the NYPD. Had a stellar career, phenomenal career. Unlike me, he decided to fight the mandate. He said, I'm not going to take the shot, and I'm not going to retire either. Fire me. And so Eric Adams, immediately after two officers were assassinated, Wilbert Mora and Jason Rivera were assassinated, Eric Adams, the next day, after telling everyone how much he loves the police, he fired Marlon Bethel. Marlon Bethel remains terminated till today, terminated non-disciplinary. And he never received due process. He never received a department trial. And so I asked Zohran I said, you say that you care about immigrants. You say that you care about the poor and you care about the working class. And here we have a Queens resident right here who was terminated by the Eric Adams administration. He never received due process. He never was charged with anything. And yet he has a black mark on his record for his refusal to comply with a mandate that made absolutely no sense. And we've won basically every court case that we had. And until today, New York City is spending millions of dollars a month fighting us in court. And Zohran Mamdani said that, well, basically in substance, that he needed to have that ability to do that to New Yorkers again. So for those reasons, he wouldn't hire Marlon back. And I just told him, I said, I think it's very hypocritical for you to come here and tell us you support the poor and the working class when you have a person who is directly affected by the regimes that you're claiming to be different than, and you have the same exact stance as them. And he really had nothing to say, and he ran off the show. So that was it.
He ran off. Wait, he left the show? Like
he didn't run. Like, he was respectful about it, but he was running. I gotta go, guys. Blah blah blah.
Oh, really? I see. Okay.
Like it was really. He ran the clock out on us, and he didn't really want to answer any questions. And he gave. If you go back to that time, he was polling at 1%, and if you go back to that time, he was saying the same exact nonsense that he says at every debate, that he says at every interview. There's no substance behind it, and it's just the same talking points over and over again. But it was clear to me, even if you go back to that interview in February when he was polling at 1%, it was very clear to me that he was going to be the Democratic primary winner, even though the polls told us he wasn't going to be, even though the betting sites told us he wasn't going to be, and they told us that it was going to be Andrew Cuomo. And you could go back to all my tweets at that point, and you could go back to that interview, and I was saying clear as day, I was like, no one's paying attention to this kid. He's going to be the Democratic nominee. He's going to win. He's the clear-cut winner. I don't care what the polls say.
So what you're saying is you got the vibe from the guy like almost immediately when you talked to him.
No,
or did you
it wasn't from talking to him, because I thought him to be a complete phony and a complete actor. I don't think it's somebody that New Yorkers would live up to. But I just was watching the field and what was happening in the Democratic Party. I was watching Andrew Cuomo come in like he was a king coming in coronated, and yet he wasn't campaigning. He wasn't on the ground. His social media game was awful. He wasn't doing interviews. Like, he should have, the first show he should have came on was mine. I mean, I have a very large audience of NYPD cops. If you're trying to now distance yourself from bail reform, distance yourself from all these public safety failures that you've had, you should have came on to talk about it. Like, we don't corner people. We let everybody speak. We're respectful to everyone. And he kind of ran from that interview. So, and so I'm watching that happen, and I'm watching Zohran Mamdani's ground game, and I'm watching his social media game, and I'm going, this is a modern campaign. This is a 2025 campaign. This is not what you're seeing, this old, oh, we're just going to vote for Andrew Cuomo because I know that name Cuomo. This is much different. And so it was all those factors. It wasn't the interview. It was his campaign, watching what they were doing, your use of social media. It was very apparent to me that the establishment Democrats were arrogant and thought he was nobody and thought he was nothing, as well as the Republicans. Because, I mean, that entire time of the Democratic primary, he coalition built to beat Andrew Cuomo in ranked choice voting. And so I figured he would always win anyway with ranked choice voting, because he had Brad Lander on his coalition. He had Adrian Adams on his coalition. He had Scott Stringer on his coalition. He had Zyrie, whatever his name is, Zellner
Myrie.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, Zellner. I could have messed up his name. So he was coalition building there. So I'm like, he's going to get him, even if he doesn't beat him right off the bat. He's 100% going to get him. There's no way that Andrew Cuomo comes out of ranked choice voting as the Democratic nominee. But what we saw is that didn't even happen. He straight up beat Andrew Cuomo that day, defied all the polls, defied both the right wing and left wing media, because they all coronated Andrew Cuomo.
Yeah. I won't lie to you. I have kind of gotten that sense. Like, what I noticed in the primary was that they basically, I'll never forget when people were talking about the quote unquote black firewall that Cuomo had within the black community. Okay, like middle class blacks and guy like working class Hispanics and all that. It was said that Cuomo was really, really big amongst those communities within New York City, and Zohran just blew right by them. He didn't even need them, and like all the minorities went for Cuomo, and meanwhile, that's where at least I first saw that Zohran's crowd was mostly white, upper middle class to affluent, college educated, and mostly women. And I'm like, that beat him? That beat Cuomo? It was incredible to me.
Well, it was, to be fair, I think it was a lot of factors. Again, I think Rich as a party, Andrew Cuomo's campaign manager, I think he has no business in politics. He did zero opposition research on Zohran Mamdani. If you would have just Googled defund the police, if you would have just went into Zohran Mamdani's tweets and wrote defund the police, dozens of tweets would have came up.
Yep.
None of that came out during the Democratic primary. Political insiders, people that pay attention to New York City politics, knew Zohran Mamdani's policies, but America didn't really know it. And most Democratic voters really didn't know Zohran Mamdani. And that's a fault of the Andrew Cuomo campaign. Like, they didn't do any opposition research. And if you remember, Eric Adams had his signatures. He had the 25,000 signatures to run on the Democratic primary, but he chose not to. Why? Because he did not want to run against Andrew Cuomo. He figured Andrew Cuomo was a political juggernaut, which we were all told. He's a political juggernaut. He's going to run over everybody in that field. And so Eric Adams jumps out. And during that whole political primary, you didn't hear a word from Eric Adams' campaign. And so it's my contention that the reason that Zohran Mamdani surged in the Democratic primary, it wasn't so much of an embrace of socialism as it was a rejection of Andrew Cuomo, and then the help that he received from Adams supporters, because no one can sell me on the fact that Eric Adams supporters did not vote for Zohran Mamdani, because Eric Adams clearly wanted to run against Zohran Mamdani in the general and not Andrew Cuomo. I believe that he thought he had done the opposition research, and we saw that the next day. Immediately after the Democratic primary, what was the calls for? Andrew Cuomo's done. Only Eric Adams can save us from Zohran Mamdani. And then, bam, Adams' campaign woke up, and now nationally, you start hearing Zohran Mamdani defund the police. Zohran Mamdani wants to give us citywide grocery stores. And now all of a sudden, Zohran Mamdani becomes a national figure overnight. He becomes just as big as AOC overnight after winning the Democratic primary. And that was as a result of Eric Adams and Frank Carone's campaign. That had nothing to do with Andrew Cuomo. So that's how I believe he was able to really win. There was a lot of factors there. And I think, again, like, you know, people, I'm definitely pro Sliwa. People accuse me of working on the campaign. I am not. I never took $1 from the Sliwa campaign or any other mayoral candidate. But I'm just saying what I see. That's it. I just call out what I see.
I got one question. Nino, do you have anything you want to ask real quick?
No. Go ahead, Isaiah.
Okay. I do have, I think you might have answered this question already, John. Our friend Paul, friend of the show, asks, how did you sense that Zohran would be able to capture voters so easily, or as easily as he has? That's a good question.
So besides the other factors there, like I said that, like, Cuomo didn't really campaign. Most New Yorkers didn't know who Zohran Mamdani was, but what did they know about him, right? They knew that he wanted to freeze the rent, right? His campaign was he was going to freeze the rent, and he was going to make trains and buses free. Now everyone's like, that's ridiculous. He can't freeze the rent. And I'm like, it's true, he can't, but it's a brilliant campaign strategy, because you have young New Yorkers who are really struggling to afford apartments in this city. You have about 2 million people in rent-controlled apartments. I think it's a little bit more than that. I don't remember the exact number off the top of my head. It's either 2 million or 3.2 million. I'm not sure the exact numbers. But you have all of those New Yorkers in rent-freeze apartments. So you have this kid saying, I'm going to give you all of these things. Affordability is a big problem in the mayoral race. So now you're a young kid, you're working, you're living in Manhattan, you're living in Brooklyn, you're living in Queens, and you lived in a rent-controlled apartment. Who are you voting for? You're going to vote for Andrew Cuomo, who just locked you down, who forced you to mask, who maybe closed your friend's business or your business, forced you out of your career, killed your elderly grandmother, killed your mother, killed your sister, let criminals, repeat violent offenders run around your street? Or you're going to get this young little handsome kid who you don't really know anything about, and he's saying, I'm going to freeze the rent. If he was able to even capture half of the people who live in rent-controlled apartments, whether he could do it or not, he's the mayor in New York City. It's a brilliant campaign strategy. So like I said, I believe that he was kind of the anti-Cuomo Democrat, the anti-establishment Democrat. And let's not kid ourselves here. He is the face of the Democratic Party. Like if we went back to 2021, there is no difference between Andrew Cuomo, Eric Adams, or Zohran Mamdani. Very little, other than the support between Israel or for Palestine or lack of support. There is no difference between them. They all wanted to defund the police. They all wanted all these crazy reforms. We currently in New York City have 6 government-run grocery stores. So I'm like, when I listen to Zohran Mamdani, I'm like, he is the establishment Democratic Party. He's not saying anything revolutionary, but he's capturing the spirit of young Democrats, where Andrew Cuomo is old and stale.
Okay, yeah.
I think I will say I do think there's the element also of kids, Gen Z, and young millennials, Gen Z, who have been raised in a university environment where socialism, far left kind of wokeness, that kind of thing, which is really pushing towards socialism and communism. It's very friendly in universities and increasingly K through 12 for that whole generation. And a lot of these kids are rich kids, right? Too. A lot of these kids, these young, Mamdani voters would be like rich hipster type people who a lot of times hate their rich parents, and which makes those kids oftentimes are socialists as well. And he is the only one calling himself a socialist. So even though he's not that different, as you say, he isn't that different, especially from the 2020 Cuomo or Eric Adams in policies. He does say things like, what is it, the state-run grocery stores? I think that's a new one. Compared to the other guys. But I do think that's another element. I think you're absolutely right, John, about all that. But I think that's another element of it is like, there's just he calls himself a socialist. He's a DSA member. And like, there's the youngest generation is very, very warm towards that. If not, they think socialism could be great. This should be great. Look what they do in Europe. Look what they do in Sweden or something. And that's the way they think of socialism. And some of them actually do like the old ideas of the Soviet Union and Cuba and Venezuela too, which is crazy, but they do.
No, yeah. I mean, listen, I'm not going to deny that there is definitely, if you look at what's happening in Queens right now with Kathy Hochul, I don't know if you guys caught that tonight, but they're out in Queens in a big stadium. I'll send you the tweet when you go around next.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
I'll send it to you, but the stadium is literally filled to the brim. Kathy Hochul there, Bernie Sanders is there, all the good old socialists, and it is packed with kids from New York City, and they're chanting DSA. DSA.
Yeah.
So there is that growing sentiment against young, educated, middle class to upper middle class people, youth. Excuse me, not people.
Yeah,
youth.
there's a lot of energy in the youth too, man.
There's an energy amongst them.
A lot of energy, a lot of fervor.
That
could be contagious, and that could really push a campaign to the next level.
Does it look?
We don't see it so much from Cuomo. Where's the fervor for Cuomo? You know what I mean? Where's the energy? Where's the youthful excitement for Cuomo? It's probably a lot of boomers and older millennials and and if anything, and Gen Xers and stuff. And that's just not as energetic and sexy as a bunch of young woke socialists.
I don't know. I mean, matter of fact, you know what? I just found it. Jeff Colton, whoever this guy is, I think he's a he's a reporter with Politico. I think you know who he is, John. You probably
he loves the DSA. I call him the DSA reporter, Jeff. So.
Yeah, he's a fucking groupie for these commies.
Yeah.
Hold on, I found his his tweet about this. Bring it up right now. The Krant chants at Hochul, not with Hochul. Tax the rich. Hold on, here we go.
Where is this, in Forest Hills?
Yeah, it's Forest Hills Stadium.
Oh, man. All right. At least you're not saying eat the rich this time.
The three of us can't do it alone. We need a fighter in City Hall who wakes up every day ready to punch and fight for the working people of the city, and that person is Zohran Mamdani.
Yeah, it's enough of that's enough.
At least you're not saying eat the rich.
Well, we didn't get there yet. I think they went there. They definitely went there.
We'll get there soon. We'll get there one day. Shit, dude. I don't know if you noticed, but that crowd definitely looked about white. I don't know. What do you boys think?
And also looked about very feminine too. Like it's a very feminine voice I'm hearing out there. A lot of girls.
Oh yeah.
A lot of girls and a lot of limp-wristed men, I think.
Yeah,
but I mean,
a lot of weak men are out that are in that crowd too.
No, look,
we're gonna say, John.
A lot of skinny arms with open toe shoes, you know, like a lot of definitely, you know, their women's carrying the groceries in for them, you know, like
a lot of non-binaries in there.
Yeah, but if you look who she's on the stage with, it's the governor of New York, right? The Democrat governor of New York. You have the Speaker of the House of the Assembly. You have what the hell is his name? Carl Hastie, right? Carl Hastie's up there with her. Andrea Stewart Cousins standing right up on the stage with her. And that's why I'm saying, like, you know, I think a lot of Democrats that I've been going back and forth with, and like these very soft Republican conservatives who I call progressive light in New York, because I really do I've always been saying my whole life that we really don't have a strong a strong Republican stance in New York. I believe our politicians are progressive. When I look at them, I'm like, dude, you're kidding yourself if you don't think Zohran Mamdani is the face of the Democratic Party in New York. This is the Democratic Party. If he wasn't, Andrew Cuomo would be on that stage. There would be no one there would be no one in the stadium. You know, he would have less people than we have on this chat right now. But like, you know, like that's what it is. Like he's the face. He's the face. Like, and it's the same thing with Eric Adams. I mean, Eric Adams at one time was the face of the Democratic primary. Was the face of the Democratic Party when he became the mayor of New York City. And when Andrew Cuomo was the governor, he was the face of the Democratic Party. And I'm talking nationally. Yeah, and they both got bullied out by a commie.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Nick Diunte in the chat says, you are right about Mamdani running a modern campaign. Cuomo has run the laziest and the laziest and most uninspired campaign I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Didn't I hear something about him saying that he wanted that he was eventually gonna move down to Florida once all this was over?
Yeah, that's what he said. He said if he loses, he's moving to Florida. And it's like, dude, like what? Like you created this, bro. Like you created Mamdani.
That's
and like that's the thing that no one wants to realize. And like even the debate on the second debate stage, the thing that like I'm still shocked has been glossed over nationally, and I blame Republicans for this because they're all soft endorsing Cuomo. And I personally think it's because they want Mamdani. He's a great fundraising tool. You know, you have one idiot in Chicago, Brandon Johnson. You get another idiot in New York, Zohran Mamdani, and we're going to fundraise around. But if you listen to what Cuomo said on the debate stage, when they got to ICE, Zohran Mamdani says that ICE is a reckless agency. It's reckless. What does Andrew Cuomo say? It's not going to happen with me. Yeah. I'm going to use the NYPD to stop them. I'm like, what? What do you mean you're going to use the police to stop ICE? You're going to tell us as a city law enforcement to stop a federal officer from enforcing the law?
You have a civil war.
And I'm like, how does that get glossed over nationally? And how is that not like mainstream news the next morning? Cuomo's going to use the NYPD to stop ICE. Because if Mamdani would have said that, it would have been everywhere.
Well, I'll tell you why. Because for some odd reason, these people truly believe, and I'm talking about the Democrat Party as a whole, these people all legitimately believe, like their hatred for Donald Trump, their zeal for revolution is greater than their common sense. Okay, these are people who literally said, like, to listen to Brandon Johnson, and the mayor of Chicago says the exact same thing. And but what's crazy is he stops just short of sending Chicago PD in after ICE, and even Chicago's police department, like their brass is saying, "Nah, we're not doing this." You know, I've seen clips of their higher up saying, "No, we're going to follow the law. We're not going to do this." In Portland, I know this is kind of unrelated. Portland's police department were caught on video yesterday raising a pro-Antifa sign as they were leading away someone who they had half-assedly arrested, to kind of signal to the rest of these weirdos and freaks in front of that ICE facility that, oh, we're with you, we're in solidarity, we're just doing this little bit of theater. These people literally believe it really stinks of insurrection, where local police, where these local jurisdictions think that they have this mandate or whatever, the I guess the volume of their convictions or whatever to literally rebel against the federal government. I mean, what do you think, boys? Like, isn't this something like this is basically their January 6th?
What do you think, John?
Well, listen, I think again, I think blue city police departments, Democrat run police departments. I unfortunately think there's a lot of integrity has been left. One, it happened with the mandate. Two, we saw officers kneeling during the Black Lives Matter riots, right? Like literally bending down and taking a knee.
It's crazy.
And then what happened? Did it stop the crowd? No, they would bend down, take a knee, and what would happen? They'd get their ass kicked later, and they'd get their cars destroyed. And it was like they folded to the mob. I was at a protest, and I was at a protest, and one of the higher ranks than me said, "Listen, if we got to take a knee, we'll all knee together." I was like, the only way I'm gonna kneel is if there's no soul left in my body, and you prop me up on a stick. Like, I am not going to kneel.
Why were they kneeling anyways? What was the point of kneeling?
I'll kneel at a funeral.
Yeah.
It was to coalesce to the Black Lives Matter movement. And the same thing with this. And so you see the same thing with this flag. And like, as a police department, you should be apolitical. Like, you shouldn't have a political stance. Kneeling is taking a political stance. Waving a flag of Antifa is taking a political stance. Listen, I would go to Donald Trump, pro Donald Trump rallies, and I support the message. I support everyone in there. But you're not going to know that I do that. I'm going to be like, hey, you got to stay out of the street. I'm worried about the free flow.
Right, you're working.
Exactly.
I'm worried that businesses have the ability to have people come in and out. I'm worried that people that are going to and from work, you're not going to know that I support you. And it's the same thing when I went to these Black Lives Matter rallies. You don't know that I don't support you. All I care about is you're not breaking the law. And we've lost that in policing. And you saw that in Chicago when ICE agents were getting shot at and they called for help and Chicago didn't respond. And then we seen it the other day on Canal Street. They were getting attacked while they had arrested a couple of vendors off Canal Street. And where was the NYPD? There was a stand down order there, and that didn't make the news.
That was horrible. That was horrible.
But Isaiah, think about this. With downtown Manhattan, the entire place is camered up head to toe. There's probably about 600 cops in that immediate area, plus about 3,000 working in one police plaza. Nobody gets there. There's not one cop car escorting them. That was on purpose. That was a political move. Eric Adams held them back. Jessica Tisch held them back. The police didn't respond until 26 Fed Plaza was surrounded. 26 Fed Plaza is around the block from one police plaza. It's not even around.
I know where it is. Yeah.
It's right there. Like, one police plaza is right here. 26 Fed Plaza is right here. And then until that place got surrounded, then the NYPD came. Absolute disgrace. And that's the problem, is like, police have been so politicized that they've become inept and incompetent.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just like many institutions in this country and in the West.
Chris Olin, another friend of the show, he's given us a little bit of a clarification. Thankfully, he says the cop we're referring to in Portland is speaking out. He says he was raising the flag to signal other officers in the distance. He didn't raise the flag to make a political statement. Oh, okay, all right, sure. And let me see. The Executive Perspective podcast says Chicago PD were caught ordering their officers to not to respond to federal agents' calls for assistance while they were being run off the road. They then came out with policy statements that they are to respond. Executive Perspective continues, police departments are supposed to be apolitical. Politics have consumed law enforcement throughout the country. That is absolutely correct. And oh, by the way, there's another video. The one that you sent me is the one I'm gonna play now. This is from who is this from?
Oilers Scootercast.
Yeah,
Scootercast.
Yeah. Here we go. Leah, look at this.
have been knocked down, and we get up stronger, live, and more resilient than ever before.
And all the blacks and all the Muslims and all the Hispanics up front.
With my partners on the same side, I'm Stuart Cousins.
Whoa. Hold on a second. Are they chanting "Let's go Knicks"?
No, tax the rich, I think.
Tax the rich. Oh God, I couldn't tell. They was a tax the rich or "Let's go Knicks." I'm like, ugh. Well, you know what? But you know what I find amazing is that they put all the blacks, all the Muslims, and all the Latinos. They put them all up front.
I mean, they're following the Democratic agenda. That's the Democrat plan. Let's pretend like we're for the poor and the working class and the immigrants and the blacks and Hispanics. While
When I told
their communities.
John, when I told people, I said this a long time ago. I said that the Progress Pride flag was a thinly veiled admission of their race of progressives racism, because the black and the brown stripes, which form the tip of the spear on that flag, it's the blade of a plow. It's like, we're going to put these people up front. They're going to be the ones to push our movement forward.
I didn't notice that, but that's a good point.
Oh yeah, I'm serious. Look at that hideous Progress Pride flag again, and that is exactly what you saw play out right there. All the blacks, all the Hispanics, all the Muslims, they put them right out front because and with a whole bunch of white people in the back. A whole bunch of white folks who are, like I said, the gentrifiers, the shit libs, the ones that live in Williamsburg and Bushwick and Astoria and the fucking Sunnyside that's not too far from Forest Hill Stadium. Like, that is Zoran's base. But moment real quick. Again, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe on our YouTube channel, or please follow us once again on X at Isaiah L. Carter and at Nino Chavez X, also at Apostate Radio NY. We've got a lot of stuff going on. We are with John Macari, a retired lieutenant with the New York City Police Department and host of the Finest Unfiltered. What was your opinion of that? Because we played at the beginning of the show. We played that campaign ad from Cuomo, the AI masterpiece. Masterpiece, tongue in cheek.
Well, one, I think the AI was terrible. I think if we used to do a lot of stuff like that early on. We don't do it anymore. Just we want to look more professional in what we're doing. But I think I would wonder how much he paid for it, because he shouldn't have paid a lot for it. But the messaging behind it, he kind of nails. But a lot of it, I could also pin on Andrew Cuomo. When it comes to repeat offenders, when it comes to things like that, I could also put that back. Hey, well, have you been looking in the mirror, Andrew Cuomo? Do you remember the policies that you signed into law? Do you remember raise the age? Do you remember discovery law? Do you remember repeal of 50A? Do you remember that you signed bail reform? And so a lot of that, but I think he kind of nails it. But again, showing how clumsy he and Rich as a party are, they put that campaign ad out. What they do? They took it down.
Yeah.
So they can't even stand behind what they're putting out. Their campaign it's really been non-existent and clumsy. They have paid social media handles, Fox News, and all of these other Republicans, basically campaigning for him because he's not doing it.
Yeah. I mean, I genuinely don't get it. And I think the one thing that bothers me the most about Andrew Cuomo's campaign is that it's almost like, well, really with the calls for Sliwa to drop out. I don't want Sliwa to drop out. I'm going to make that perfectly clear. I do not want Sliwa to drop out of the race. I think it is a good thing that he is in the race, win or lose. The people need a choice. And despite whatever the polls say, the only poll that matters is the one that's going to be counted on election day. Fair, right? So the idea that Cuomo, the idea that Sliwa has to drop out, it bothers me because Cuomo did not win the Democrat nomination. Adams did not win the Democrat nomination. I knew one of them. Like I said, when the Democrat primary ended earlier, like in the summer, I knew that one of them was going to run as an independent. I did not expect both Adams and Cuomo to both run as independents. It's like why would you do that? Like you didn't learn the first time? And like I said earlier, at least Adams got the hint, but Cuomo didn't. And so my thing is, there are no Republicans in other than Sliwa. And even Sliwa's not he ain't all the way Republican. Let's just be clear. He's not as conservative as, say, a JD Vance. Right. And he's certainly not a Trump guy. Okay. I think he's had many critical things to say about Trump. But my question to you is, why is it that people are calling for, and again, this is no disrespect, you all, everyone is free to choose whoever they want to support. But why is there so many calls for the only Republican to leave the race, to just essentially leave New York City to effectively another Democrat?
Well, see, and this is where I have the issue with, because I don't think people pay attention to politics a lot. I really don't. And I don't think they understand it a lot. I think they get their information from the mainstream media, which is always trying to paint a narrative. Depending on what station you're listening to, where you're in the Overton window somewhere. You're in whatever big government and the billionaires want you to think. So I think if you're getting your information from mainstream media and you're not drawing your own conclusion and you're not listening to the entire conversation, you're missing a lot of what's happening. And so the reason that Andrew Cuomo's camp, who's not campaigning, is only asking Curtis Sliwa to step down is because he needs voters. Who are his voters? His voters are Zohran Mamdani voters. His voters are in that stadium right now chanting. You know, and if Andrew Cuomo went up on that stage right now, do we think that he packs that stadium out? Because I don't.
Fuck no.
Do you think Republicans
no,
are running there? Democrats? Is anybody energized to go run to Andrew Cuomo? And so, the thing is, he has no campaign, you know, and that's the thing. What's his campaign? He's funded by billionaires. He's got Bill Ackman behind him. He's got all the big money behind him, which means he controls the polls. He gets the favorability in the betting sites. And I'm sitting there, and I've been pretty consistent from prior to this election even happening to prior to who we knew the candidates were. I myself was offered to run by a major party, and I turned it down because the GOP had already picked their nominee. And I said that I'm not going to run against Curtis Sliwa and pull votes away from him. I would run in a primary against him, but I would not run in a major. I would not run to pull votes on him and ensure that a Democrat could win, because I believe that the circumstances in New York City are ripe that Democrats will cross over to Republicans. But Andrew Cuomo is now trying to paint himself as somebody that he's not. And everyone's like, oh, well, don't worry about what he did in 2021 and 2020. Let's just focus. He's not Zohran Mamdani. I'm like, okay. But the same way that I told you after the Democratic primary that there is no shot in hell that Eric Adams could win re-election. He knows it. Everyone knows it. He helped Zohran Mamdani win that Democratic primary, and he's going to help him win this. He's going to help him win the general. is the same thing I'm seeing for Andrew Cuomo. And even at that point, when everyone was saying that Eric Adams was the savior of New York City, I was saying, well, that makes absolutely no sense, because if you're going to say that anybody is going to be the savior of New York City, you're going to stay with Andrew Cuomo, because he did get X amount of votes in the Democratic primary. Eric Adams doesn't have any votes, you know? So I'm like, so I was actually defending Andrew Cuomo, like with the rationale. So once it became very clear to the world, Eric Adams always knew he was not winning. Once it became very clear to the world that he couldn't win, he drops out. Now it becomes Andrew Cuomo's our savior. What is Andrew Cuomo doing? Is he on the ground? Is he handing out flyers? Is he calling me like, hey, I want to get to the cops. I want the police support. I want people that have police families to think that I support them. And we could X out the conversation that I had because I changed. I was wrong. I signed bail reform. It was wrong. No, he's not doing any of that. What is he doing? He's using his billionaire friends to put pressure on the only Republican candidate who I totally agree with you, I believe is a centrist. I don't even think he's a conservative, Sliwa.
I don't either.
You know what I mean? He's a centrist.
Right.
Pressure for him to drop because that's his only shot at getting votes.
Exactly. And again, I mean, and that's no disrespect to Curtis. You know, this isn't a, like, you're not going to get a Giuliani winning in New York City. I'm not going to sit up and say that it's impossible. Okay. But when 70% of New York City residents are Democrats, okay, and like there is very clearly, at least in my opinion, a discouragement to run strong Republican candidates in New York City. I personally don't understand this. It's like you're not going to be able to clone Vicky Palladino, you know, and import her in places like the Bronx and parts of Brooklyn where, you know, where I lived and where you grew up. You know what I'm saying? Like you're not going to find a Vicky Palladino. In fact, there's one lady who's running as a Republican, and I forget her name. She's a black lady. She's running.
Clark. She was a teacher. She was fired for the COVID mandate. She's running against Mercedes Lewis. Narcisse.
Yeah. What? Say her name again.
Athena Clark. Make sure if you guys are in that district, make sure you go out and vote for her.
Please do. She's dynamic. I've seen I've seen her ads, and she's very, very well. I'd love to have her on the show.
I'll put you in touch with her if you guys want. I'll after the show, I'll get in contact.
That'd be great, John. Thank you.
No. So let's see. we got more. Man, we've got a lot of comments tonight. I love this. Keep them coming. Thank you, chat. Greatly appreciate this. Let's see. Brandell from the I So Boom podcast says John is right. New York is not paying enough attention. That's why low voter turnout is always a problem, and we end up with the choices we get. That, though, I disagree. That might not be a situation in this election, because the last thing, because we'll talk about it in a second, because I need to pull it up. But voter turnout has been through the roof. They're coming like first day early voting was like set records in New York City.
Well, we're dealing with two national figures running against each other, really. I mean, Andrew Cuomo was the face of the Democrats in a lot of ways, or one of the faces of the Democrats during COVID. So he's a household name, whether people remember him so well or not. And obviously Zohran Mamdani is like an AOC now, like for sure.
Yeah.
Like, there's like, you know, to John's point earlier, it's you don't see, I mean, you don't see Cuomo filling up that stadium. You don't see Sliwa filling up that stadium. You don't see anybody in New York, I don't think, filling up that stadium besides maybe AOC. Maybe, I don't even think AOC, honestly. I don't think AOC is even that popular. I think Zohran's is like the great socialist hope, I think. And like to finally, all the Bernie guys, all the woke Marxists, all the progressives, all the people who've been waiting for this are like, wow, he's going to do it. He's going to win. It's very exciting for them. And he might do it, right?
He's a curry dusted Jim Jones.
So that's
he's a curry dusted Jim Jones. I said it.
you know, filling up that stadium is no joke for somebody of his level. He's an assemblyman. You know what I mean? That's something to keep in mind. So we're going to see a big turnout. We might see a big turnout for him mainly though. So, but we'll see.
Yeah. Let me see. Phil NYK fan, who probably thought the crowd was saying "Let's go Knicks" as well. He asks, this is a question for you, John. Do you believe Sliwa's chances would improve if he embraced Trump and MAGA?
I don't.
That's a good question. Oh, you don't?
I don't know about New
I
York.
don't. No, I
think so
don't
either.
at all. I don't at all. Like, you know, Trump is, although he did well in the presidential election in New York, he still didn't do well enough where it would move the needle. I think, you know, I think there's a lot of things there with Trump, especially in New York. I mean, look at that primary. Look at the first debate. What was the debate about? It was about Donald Trump. I was like, are we going to talk about New York City? Like, you know what I mean? And I think kind of if Trump would have came out and endorsed him, I think it might hurt him with Democratic voters. I think it might hurt a Republican candidate. I think
so too.
You know, I don't think it necessarily helps him. I don't think
a lot of baggage with Trump.
I think it might hurt him more.
Yeah, I think so too. Especially in a deep blue city like New York.
New York State, I would say maybe it would help you.
Yes.
New York City, I don't think so.
But see, the only reason why I would disagree with that is because Trump's largest numbers in New York City came from the Bronx and Queens last year. So I do think that there's at least somewhat of a chance. And if I remember correctly, when Lee Zeldin ran for governor against Kathy Hochul back in 22, he was supposed to get blown out by like over 10 points, and Hochul only won by like 4 or 5 percentage points. So and Lee Zeldin's Lee Zeldin's as MAGA as they come. So I mean that's probably why he works now with he's the head of the EPA. So there's something there. Like there is an appetite for, I think there's more of an appetite for MAGA and America first than there is for the typical uniparty, you know, like establishment nonsense that Republicans have been giving us. My biggest issue right now with the Republican Party is that they are simply using this city as an ATM machine to raise money for other races that I guess that they feel are more winnable. And I'm kind of over that. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like what's the point of having a Republican Party here if all they're going to do is just tap the voters for money and not send and not really run anyone who can win? Are you afraid that the grift is going to run out? I mean, maybe you can add some insight to that.
But like, so I think if you're a Republican candidate in New York and you give the simplest thing, oh, I like the police and I want to hire more cops and I want to make work life better and I want to improve the quality of life in your district and I want to enforce minor crimes, you're getting the MAGA vote. You're getting that right-wing vote. Yeah. And if you start to go on other issues, on other MAGA-related issues, you're going to lose the centrist and Democrat vote, you know, and that's what I'm saying. I'm saying he's already got that. If you're coming in, if you're slightly conservative in New York, you're already got everybody. Because I mean, I know for myself and my family, we have been directly affected financially in more ways than one. The quality of our lives, our neighborhoods have been impacted, and it's like, by Democrat policies. So we're disgusted with them. So even like a guy like a Joe Borelli, who I think is not a Republican at all, he's a Democrat. I can't stand the guy. I think he's the biggest political grifter I've ever seen in my life. I would still vote for him and hold my nose because I'm like, I'm not going to vote for a Mercedes Narcisse. I'm not going to vote for an AOC. I'm not going to vote for a Tiffany Caban. I'm going to vote the garbage that the Republican Party gave me. Like, you know what I mean? So like if you give a candidate that's not garbage, like a Curtis Sliwa, like a guy who's not that political establishment, and we could see that because we see the political establishment turn on him on both parties, Republican and Democrat. You see the conservative talk show hosts, right? Sid Rosenberg, John Catsimatidis, furthest thing from conservative, but that's how they're painted in New York, right? Even though they were with her in 2016 and they were supporting Hillary, they're considered the conservative talk radio in New York. I'm like, we're not conservative talk radio. You were with Cuomo the whole time. You love Kathy Hochul. You love Letitia James. Anybody, no one on the right does. And I think Curtis Sliwa appeals to that MAGA crowd because he is not part of that political stance. He's like, he's like kind of out. He's like a volunteer vigilante radio host, but he's a respectable guy because everybody knows he's not full of crap. He's out on the trains every day. He's out on the streets every day. And I do think that Curtis Sliwa could fill that stadium because if you walk around with a guy in New York City, it's
everybody knows him.
With a celebrity, dude. And even
everybody knows him.
If Curtis could fill that stadium, Curtis has a chance.
You know, and even Errol Lewis wrote an article because he walked around Brownsville, Brooklyn with him. 98% black neighborhood. He said I was with Elvis Presley. Everybody was coming over. Everybody was taking photos
in a black neighborhood.
Everybody's voting for him.
That's where that's where I lived.
All right.
When I lived in Brooklyn, I lived my home stop for almost 5 years was Saratoga Avenue on the 3 train. You bet your ass they know him around there.
Well, then Cuomo should drop out, man. If that's the case, if there's that kind of groundswell, if there's that kind of, I know he's recognized. I know New York knows who Curtis Lee was. Remember, but if there's that kind of, energy for him. Because like we said, Cuomo does not fill up that stadium. Anybody in that stadium is going to be mainly maybe some older people, but mainly it's going to be like establishment people and like his team.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like that's what it's going to be. It would not even be close. If Curtis can fill that stadium or get close to it, that's a good sign, man. That gives me a little more hope.
Well, Nino, remember what happened after we interviewed Curtis?
Yeah. And the Uber driver
knew who he was.
Yeah, I was like, oh shit, okay. The Uber driver knew who he was.
The Uber driver knew.
It was my first time with a celebrity. He said or something.
It was like, oh my god, I've got a celebrity here. It was like, dude, I'd never seen anything like that. And honestly, that's why I said the hood knows who Curtis is.
Hopefully they come out and vote for him.
The numbers are speaking for themselves. We're going to get into that momentarily.
But while we're on that real quick, Isaiah,
yes,
how do you guys think he did in the I thought Curtis won the second debate. I thought he was the best one.
Oh,
I thought Cuomo did really well too. Much better than he did the first time. I didn't think Mamdani did well at all. I know I'm biased. I don't want Mamdani to do well, but I really don't think he did well. I really think he seemed kind of weak. He's playing defense the whole time. He's kind of, he really didn't have good answers for his criticisms, but I thought Sliwa really separated himself. Sliwa looked really strong, had a lot of good things to say.
Yeah.
And Cuomo had his moments too. Cuomo definitely looked superior in that debate, but what do you think, Johnny? Who do you think won do you see it the way I see it or differently? Or
I think Zohran Mamdani got exposed in that debate. Like I said, he's been saying the same thing for 6 months. No substance behind it. That we're talking about the backs of the ballot, like where does he stand on these different proposals? I haven't thought about it. Dude, you might be the mayor in a couple of weeks. You haven't thought about it? What are you talking about? Like so phony. And if you really watch them, if you go back and look, he was sweating profusely.
He didn't look good. Yeah, he looked uncomfortable.
Matter of fact, I've got clips.
Fake smiles. He's like sitting there smiling through Cuomo.
I've got one clip. Matter of fact, here's the clip right here of Cuomo like stripping the bark from this kid.
Yeah, Cuomo killed him in that situation.
Here it is. And I gotta find some others because there were some things that Sliwa said that made a lot of sense. But this right here, I think more than anything, regardless of what you think of Cuomo, this is when the mask on Zohran started to slip.
Cuomo.
I understand my friend doesn't really understand government. The governor doesn't build housing in New York City.
Not if it's you.
No, legally, there are jurisdictions. The governor doesn't pick up trash. He doesn't run the fire department. That's what the mayor does. The mayor builds housing. The state allocates funding for localities. And I allocated more funding for housing than any governor in the history of the state of New York. All right? I did things You have never had a job. You've never accomplished anything. There's no reason to believe you have any merit or qualification for 8.5 million lives. You don't know how to run a government. You don't know how to handle an emergency. And you've literally never proposed a bill on anything that you're not talking about in your campaign. You had the worst attendance record in the assembly, and you gave yourselves the highest raise in the United States of America. You went from $110,000 to $140,000, and then you never showed up for work, and you missed 80% of the votes. Shame on you. Shame on you.
Stop the damn match. A man's got a family.
You know, again, regardless of what anyone, regardless of what you feel about Cuomo, that needed to happen. That needed to happen.
I was sitting on the couch watching Spectrum, whatever. I was like, woo, get him.
Yeah, man. Zoran needed to be exposed the way he was. Because now I'm watching this campaign implode. Now you're starting to see, because now, matter of fact, I do want to go over this. Did you see? I'll get into Sliwa a little bit later. I want to talk about that probably in the 10 o'clock hour. But I want to talk to you about this. I'm going to play some of Zoran's, I guess, closing argument. I'm not going to let it run all the way because it's pretty long. It's like it's almost 7 minutes. Okay. But this guy effectively, this is after matter of fact, no, you know what I'm going to do first? Let me find the video of him talking about his aunt. That was disgusting to me. For those of you who don't know, he made like this impassioned plea. What was that, Friday or was that Saturday when he said that?
I don't remember. One of those days.
It was either Friday or Saturday where he goes and he's making this impassioned plea and he's talking about his aunt getting dirty looks on the subway train after 9/11 just happened. I'm sorry, guys. But, like, really? Really? There's nothing I could say to that. John, what did you think? I know you saw it, but like, what were your thoughts on that?
To me, he is the face of the Democratic Party. You know what I was having flashbacks of when he said that? When I was having flashbacks of Bill de Blasio saying that the worst thing that ever happened to his son was saying a cop slowed down and looked at him. And I'm like,
a cop slowed down and looked at me too.
That's what I had a flashback. And when he said that, I was like, wait, time out. Because as a kid, I grew up in the Rudy Giuliani area in New York City. If the sun creaked and we were playing basketball, I was face up against the gate, or I was getting face planted into the thing and getting searched for absolutely no reason, you know? And so I'm like, the worst thing that ever happened to you was a cop car rolled by you. And when I heard him talk about that, it was like this minor thing. And it's like, how do you know what dirty look? How do you know what the dirty look was? How do you know what it was for? Could have been maybe she bumped the guy. Like, you know, like everyone, like, you know, there's always this, everyone wants to, it's the ultimate tactic. Divide what? Based upon religion, based upon race, based upon gender. And it's the Democratic strategy. That's what they have, dude. You have nothing else. So what do you do? Call the guy a racist, call him a sexist, call him he's an anti-Semite, he's this, he's that, whatever it is. It's like, wait, time out. I didn't even say anything. No, but you gave me a weird look. Okay.
Yeah. Right. I found the video, by the way.
It's ridiculous. It's they can read minds now. It's like maybe he was just ripping a fart or something, man. Maybe a stomach ache.
Disgusting. Yeah. It's like so for those who don't know, ladies and gentlemen, here is the clip of Zoran giving this impassioned plea. So just so you know it's real, okay? Here is this guy making one of his last pleas to get people to vote for him. Watch.
I want to use this moment to speak to the Muslims of New York City. I want to speak to the memory of my aunt, who stopped taking the subway after September 11th because she did not feel safe in her hijab.
Wait, is he really crying right now over this shit, man? Come on, dude.
I want to use this moment.
Like, really?
Nobody's crying over something like that, man. Like, I understand if you're a little upset, you're a little annoyed if you heard that story, but nobody's like, my aunt felt uncomfortable on the train. It's like, come on, dude.
3,000 people died that day.
Yeah.
3,000 people died that day 24 years and change ago. There is a monument where the towers once stood that are two gigantic fountains with the names of all the people who died that day on September 11th, 2001. I know several police officers who answered the call to go to 9/11. My shout to Pete Panuccio, my good friend who was down there. You were down there too, no?
I was there, but I wasn't a cop at the time. I was too young.
Okay. But yeah, Pete Panuccio was there. Pete is a great friend of mine. Love him to death. He was down there. You sully the memory of the people who died down there. I remember when I first, just a quick personal thing about 9/11. I first started coming up here to New York City from Baltimore in 2007 when I was dating a woman who would be who I would eventually marry. She's my ex-wife. I remember they were digging up like all of Ground Zero still. Cortlandt Street was closed. Like none of the stuff was open, obviously. Like they didn't, like, for context, ladies and gentlemen, downtown Manhattan, the financial district did not become whole until about 2016, 2017. Okay. Like when the 9/11 museum and all and like all the subway stations that had been damaged because, you know, from the buildings coming down, all of what you see right now is 10 years old or less. Okay. But when I was down there in 2007, I remember like feeling the spirits down there. I remember feeling like the anger of the ground that was there. Like you could tell that being down there, something bad had happened. And you could feel the energy. It was a mournful energy down there for years. And for this guy to stand up there in front of these people and basically say, my aunt's feelings because people gave her a dirty look on the subway train, my feelings about something that happened when I was a little boy mean more than the reality of thousands of men and women and children that no longer that haven't ridden the subway in about 24 years. Because why? Because they're dead. That was the most disgraceful thing I've seen all week. I like, this is John. Either one of you guys, like, please stop me if I'm starting to run long. But this disgusted me. It's like, first off, this aunt, 24 years ago, Zoran is 34. So we're talking about what? Something that happened. If he's 34,
he was probably 6, 7, 8, maybe.
10.
Yeah.
He was 10.
How old is he now? 32? Something like that?
34.
34. Okay, so he's about 10. Okay, 10.
Right. So we're talking about something that allegedly happened.
He was 10.
24 years ago. So he's 10 years old.
I'd like to see if he has an aunt. I don't even know if I believe his ass, man.
I am seeing things about an aunt that he has. Apparently, she is the sister of Zoran's father, but does not wear a hijab. Okay,
she retired it, I guess.
No, she never wore it.
Yeah,
but here's the kicker: she's never lived in the States. She's never lived in the United States.
Was he saying that it was in New York that this was happening?
Yes.
But dude, that's what they do. Look, I have the towers on my arm right here, right? I was a cop in Brooklyn. I worked.
You bench pressed a lot of cop cars to get that arm like that, didn't you?
You know, and I was a sergeant in Brooklyn, right? And there's a lot of Muslim communities throughout Brooklyn. And I'm not gonna lie, there were times I would go into a Dunkin' Donuts or I go in a Starbucks, and there was a woman there with a hijab, and they were pointing to my arm and laughing.
No shit, really?
Whoa.
I swear to God.
Wow.
I swear to God. You know, my friends' fathers died in here. People that I took the express bus with to go into the city every day worked in Cantor Fitzgerald. They never made it out. People I went to school with never made it out. You know, my neighborhood was basically riddled with deaths. The firehouse up the block from me was wiped out. Like, you know, it's so like my people that I knew were gone. And I knew it the minute the towers fell. And so I got the tattoo in memory of them because people have a short-term memory. But those memories hurt me of like people laughing at my pointing at my arm. But I would never paint the entire Muslim community as that. And I don't hold that. I don't hold anybody accountable except for those dumb idiot women pointing at my arm and laughing. And that happened to me several times.
That's crazy.
Throughout Brooklyn. And I don't harbor any hard feelings towards it, and I don't play the victim card. But it's also because I'm not a Democrat, and I don't use that strategy. And that's the strategy they use. Poor little me. I have no substance. You guys are all racist. You guys are all sexist. You guys are all anti-Semites. You guys are all anti-gay. Like, this is the strategy that they use, and they're always full of crap. It's just like Eric Adams when he pulled out the picture of his uncle, and then we found out that he's like, I've been carrying this in my wallet forever. And then we found out he had his staffer dump coffee on it, so it looked old, and then he never carried that thing in his wallet.
Oh my God.
You know, it's like, dude,
that's
like,
grimy.
come on, bro. You know,
that's really grimy, man. That's just that kind of inauthenticity.
Good night, everybody. Good night, everybody.
That is so grimy, man.
Oh my God.
I also want to say too, on the other side of it, it's like, you know, if you're gonna bring this up as like, oh my God, this is such a, well, you know, the worst thing about 9/11 was some people were mean to Muslims and stuff. It's like, look, man, you're dealing with human beings, right? Dealing with human beings in 2001, September 12th, 2001, those next couple months, those next couple years, people lost everything. They saw these two monumental towers destroyed in front of them, destroyed the whole, financial district area, like all this dust and everything, bodies. All the videos we're seeing, you expect people to not be angry and point fingers, you know, like that. That is, of course, that's going to be the case. Of course, like you're going to see some people being, you know, just making faces, being angry, maybe making a comment. It's just human nature. So why are we like, first of all, why are we shocked about this? And two, it's like, of course, it's way worse what happened to the people who died in the towers. The people who were innocent people just going to work or whatever, the brave first responders that came to save people, try to save people. It's way, 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 way worse what happened to them than you having to deal with a dirty look, or you having to deal with somebody maybe looked at you the wrong way. You don't even know if it was really about that, or somebody maybe like laughed at your hijab or made something. It's like, yeah, that's not nice, but like that is not the fucking point, man. That's not the point. And like how, like as you want to be the mayor of New York and you want to act like that was the bad part, that was a sad story, that was the thing that we all got to remember and never forget, is like some people got upset that you killed 3,000 people in one day.
What the
hell's wrong with you?
I've
Mandani
completely, and I've lost it. I've lost it when it comes to that. There's another question. And again, I absolutely love it. Let me see. Ron Layson said Mamdani has his typical talking points. Cuomo tried to answer questions by standing on his record when he was the governor. That record was atrocious. Curtis Sliwa was the only adult in the room. That is true. That is true. Let me see. Bill, New York Knicks NYK fan, says, I've seen polling showing that Mamdani is not well liked by American-born blacks and Latinos. Most of his support is from foreign-born first-gen immigrants and white progressives. Is this true? The answer is a resounding yes.
Seems like it, man.
He is not liked at all. I mean, let's.
Besides college-educated, woke college-educated blacks and Latinos, probably it's that maybe those might be some of the exceptions, but yeah, for the most part.
Well, the ones who are already communist, because here's the thing,
they've been indoctrinated in college,
right? But here's the thing: Zoran is liked by that set. But remember, he pretended to be black to get into college. He tried to apply to Columbia University. This is where his dad still teaches. Okay, all those free Palestine rides. See all them pasty white kids, with their $80,000 a year tuitions and shit. They were Zoran's daddy has been a professor at Columbia University for decades. And Zoran tried to get into Columbia, and he basically claimed African American.
And he still didn't get it.
And he still didn't get in.
Wait, he didn't get in. His dad was a Columbia professor and he didn't get in?
Exactly. How about that?
And he tried to pull the race card. He still didn't get it.
Yeah, and he called himself a black guy too. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. My name is Zoran Mamdani. I am black. I am a black man. I was born in Baltimore, Maryland. Can't you tell from my accent? Fuck that, dude. Sorry.
He's fake as hell, man.
Phony as hell, dude.
Yeah.
So, but here's the thing, and if you need even further proof, this X account, I meme zero, posted this quick video. Mamdani is not a New Yorker. It's a black lady saying, and he writes, "This woman is right. Mamdani's fan base is made up of gentrifiers."
Yeah,
let's hear what
that's
this
mostly
young
true.
lady
And immigrants, gentrifiers and immigrants. Yeah,
Mamdani is not a New York. Like, I'm still confused as to how you guys have a 35-year-old non-New Yorker as even a candidate. Are y'all okay? His fan base are gentrifiers, people who are not real New Yorkers.
That's 100%
like,
true.
What is going on here? He's 35. He's a child. That's number one. And number two, he hasn't even been in New York that long. That's like me picking myself up to go run to be the mayor of Miami. New York, you gotta do better. You gotta do better. Nah.
And
I can't argue with the.
He's rich. And he's rich as hell. And he lives in a fucking rent stabilized apartment, right? Like for people with low income. What a son of a bitch.
And dude, go back to the interview I did with him. It looks like he's in like my grandmother's apartment in 1970 with like the old wood cabinets with the yellow. And that was like one of the questions I wanted to ask them. Is like, is that your really apartment, or did you just rent it for the run? The campaign run. Because he's loaded, the kid. So it doesn't make sense that he lives like that.
No, that should be safe for somebody with low income. Like that's parasitic, man.
It looks like my grandmother's 1970s Brooklyn apartment.
Couple quick shout outs real quick. Joker King, great guy. He says, I'm here for support, brother Isaiah. Thank you, bro. Appreciate you. Great dude there. And Brandell says he's the transplant choice. He's absolutely right about that.
100%.
Yeah. Also, Nick Diunte, who's been, again, thank you so much, y'all. This is fantastic. Please keep them coming. He says, and Mamdani went to Bronx Science, one of the top 3 high schools in the city, and still didn't get into Columbia with his father working there.
So rent stabilized. Wait, was I wrong about that? Rent stabilized aren't for low income. They're open to anyone in the city who could sign a lease.
It's true.
isn't
Yeah. I mean,
that is true.
and
That
he
is
got
true.
and he got Cuomo on the stage with that on the second debate. He said, "Well, you could have changed that, and you didn't." And Cuomo didn't know what to say because
Interesting.
he did
Okay.
open it up for that anybody could get it. So you know,
He
he
sure
just didn't
did.
know what to say.
Sure did.
All right.
Now, just real quick, I do want to play this. Because we've talked a lot about. We'll get again. We'll discuss Sliwa in the last hour, okay? But this guy, have you seen this video that I alluded to earlier, John? This 6-minute video where he's basically going on this, where basically he just fully unmasks himself and goes full identity politics. Have you seen that yet?
I cannot listen to him for more than a minute or two. I definitely didn't watch the 6-minute video. I know what you're talking about, but like it's literally hard to listen to him. I've been listening to him for 6 months, and it's it's literally a broken record, dude. There's nothing there. There is literally nothing there. There's nothing behind it. It's just now it's like you could see the campaign starting to spiral, and I really believe that he really hit his ceiling in the Democratic primary.
I've been saying that.
I don't think that, like, you know, like we've made him the boogeyman, but I don't see it. I think he's beatable, dude. And like,
He's very beatable.
I think he's very beatable. I think he hit a ceiling. And I think that we're going to learn that again, the polls are going to be miraculously, they're just going to be off again. Like they've been every election cycle.
Yeah.
It's not
so,
like
man.
we could even go back to, well, you know, they were accurate in 2016. They were accurate in 2018. No, we don't have anything. They're always always off.
Are you
Whoever had
familiar with
against the polls?
Are you familiar with matter of fact, I will play this one. Are you familiar with Brandon Straka? Good friend. He's a friend of mine.
I'm familiar with him. I'll be honest with you. I've been very critical of him because, you know, he's got this whole we're gonna beat Mondani, and I'm like, okay, dude, what's your plan? Which candidate? I'm gonna beat Mondani. Okay, all right, I get it. You're here. You're making speeches. You're fundraising. You're gonna beat Mondani. What's your plan?
I think what his plan is.
He got struck with tragedy, didn't he, Isaiah?
He did, yeah.
So
Like,
that might have derailed him a little bit. I don't know about before.
Yeah,
or after,
I think a family member of his passed away.
I think it was his brother or something.
I think his brother. Yeah, I do. Shout to Brandon Straka.
That might have derailed his plans. To be fair,
It
John,
might
I don't
have.
know, but maybe you're right. Maybe he wasn't doing enough.
He's the founder of the hashtag walk away movement. I've been trying to have him on the show for a while. I've been on when he was on Newsmax several months ago, and I went on with him when my lunch break video, the first one back in February, went viral. But he's got a nice video on here. It's only a minute. It's a little over a minute, and he's going in on Zoran. Watch.
Yeah, I think he had a good little.
Zoran Mamdani wants government-run grocery stores. Yeah, that would be the same government that can't fix the subways, can't keep the streets clean, and can't keep the city safe. And now they want to control your food supply. Sure. What could go wrong? Here's the thing. These neighborhood bodegas, family-owned grocery stores, they are New York. They're run by hustlers, dreamers, real people. You bring in government-run grocery stores, and these guys, gone. Crushed by red tape, price controls, and empty shelves. And let's be real, we've seen this before. In every socialist country that's tried government-run grocery stores, it always ends the same way. Long lines, empty shelves, no options. Regular folks go hungry, while politicians eat steak. That's not compassion, that's control. Socialism doesn't feed people, it starves them. It kills the competition, wipes out small businesses, and leaves you waiting in line for crumbs. Mamdani's grocery plan isn't progress. It's socialism in a shopping cart. And if we allow this to roll through New York, we're the ones who will pay the price. We need freedom, not food lines. Let's keep our city fed by entrepreneurs, not politicians.
Paid for by Defeat Mamdani PAC.
I like it. I mean, I think he ain't wrong about anything that he said there.
No, he's not. He's not wrong at all. I don't think he's wrong. And I get he's educating about the ills of Mondani, but the whole walk away thing for me bothers me because I'm like, You know, I'm like, you walked away from what, dude? Like, because you're still in the grasp of the Democratic Party because you're not giving us a plan to victory. And the thing is, everybody's right about these government-run grocery stores, but I've been saying since this went national, we have 6 of them currently in New York City.
What are those 6? What are those 6?
There are 6 throughout the boroughs in New York City. There's none in Staten Island. There's an article in the Gothamist. You could read about it. Everyone was telling I was a liar, and then the Gothamist put out an article when I said it.
I'm not saying that you're that you're saying something that's not true. I literally want to know which ones, like, because I've heard about them myself, and I'm like, well, who's like which ones are they?
I've never personally been to them, but there are 6 of them throughout New York City. On top of that, New York City, like we have the New York City Fresh program, where it's basically subsidizing all of these grocery stores. They're city-run grocery stores, and there's a lot of them, you know. And so, like, I don't agree with that approach. I do agree with sometimes where if you look in the poorer neighborhoods, like where they don't have access to organic food, getting the government to step in and subsidizing some of it to get them fresher, more organic food, and to try to keep the business running, not that the government's controlling it like it is a government-run grocery store, like Zoran Mondani wants to further. So as dangerous as he is, I know he's dangerous. I don't even need to know about it, and I appreciate Straka for presenting that to the masses. However, he might be the speeding train, but any Democrat we elect is on that same train, same path. They might just be a little slower at getting there. We're still heading in that direction, and that's my thing with it. It's like we had a great opportunity here. We had a great opportunity here to move in a different direction, and it was stolen from us by the mainstream media, billionaires, and Republicans with big talking points because they didn't get behind the other option. We're basically he's basically soft endorsing Cuomo, is what I'm trying to say.
So it's towards that. Let me see. I think I got a couple of questions. This guy, a priest forever, is asking how do food deserts exist? So explain to me how food deserts exist.
Why is Harlem a food desert? He also asked.
Why is Harlem a food desert? How is Harlem a food desert?
But dude, if you go into some of these
really want to know
neighborhoods, if you go into some of these poor black neighborhoods, the city's funneling millions and millions of dollars into the community, but you can't get anything to eat. There's 2 Kennedy Fried Chicken. There's a Chinese food place. And that's what they're saying when they say a food desert. It's not that there's no food there, but there's a lack of quality food. And that is true for neighborhoods throughout New York City. You know, and it is very true, and it's a terrible, and it is because of government failure. Because if the streets were safe, if people felt that they could go shopping at any time of night, the businesses would stay there. If the businesses weren't worried about getting robbed and their supplies being robbed, there'd be more pharmacies on corners where people wouldn't have to take a bus to go to a pharmacy. There'd be more option for greater food. So there are food deserts everywhere throughout New York City. It's just a reality.
But here's the thing about Harlem that really like gets me, right? You've got Whole Foods right there on the corner of 125 and Lenox. You've got several like supermarkets all up and down the avenues in Harlem. I know where they are. Okay. And that's like I mean, there are plenty of fresh food options in New York City. I'm not going to sit here and say that the food deserts don't exist. It's not true. They do. But Harlem is not the best case. He asks again, he says, do you think the problem is people worry about getting robbed? Yes, I would say that.
Well, it's more about the stores too, worried about getting robbed, right?
Have you been to Harlem and 125th Street? Have you been to 125 and say Lexington Avenue?
Well, it's going to slow down foot traffic, that's for sure.
Like
for
what
consumers.
are we talking about here?
But also, it's more importantly, I think too. It's like I think John was saying before. It's like the business owners. Like, how are you going to keep a store open if people are just constantly stealing and the people keep on getting released from getting arrested over and over and over and over again? It's like I would never open a store in an area like that.
And the only thing
Never.
you're getting is like a CVS or a Walgreens, and even them, you go to get a bottle.
They start
of water,
closing
dude,
too,
and it's locked up. You got to ring.
Everything's
the bell
locked up.
Like, you know, and
here we go.
Why do you think it's locked up? Why?
Hold on a second. Here he goes.
Like locking
so
up.
Now we
Like,
fall back on the so now we fall back on the racist tropes about Harlem being out of control with crime. It is out of control with crime. It is. Harlem's a shithole. I'm telling you right now.
Why do these stores lock up toothpaste and deodorant? Like, you think these stores want to spend extra money putting locks
all over the city, brother? Yeah. And why do you think that is?
They like doing that for fun.
Why do you think that is?
Yeah, and dude, go out of state, bro. Go to Virginia. Go to Florida.
Go to Maryland.
Yeah, you could get whatever you want. You know, you get like a pack of 20 razors. It's not locked up. You can't get that in New York. You can't even get a water bottle in New York.
So then just don't put it. Shut up. Then he's like, oh, this guy goes, so then don't just put it. No, I'm going to put it on Harlem. Wow. The black dude is going to put it on Harlem because Harlem is trash. Okay? I'm calling it trash.
It's not just Harlem either. It's just different areas have this problem. Yeah.
The 125
a lot of areas, dude.
Garbage.
Yeah, a lot of areas.
Okay? 125 is full of more crime and more bullshit than ever before. Okay? Don't start with me. I see. Please,
Priest Forever. You need to uplift Isaiah's black voice.
There is no excuse for this.
Uplift his voice.
I am tired of this foolishness. I really am.
He just called. Look what he just called you. Isaiah.
Clearly, fuck you. Okay, fuck you.
What a racist
I'm a coon. Yeah, coons pick out problems that y'all don't want to solve. Fuck you.
What a racist prick.
Tired of this shit.
He's giving us the woke treatment, and then he calls Isaiah that.
You know what? Go pray to Hawk Newsom. See if that asshole will help you out. Go hit up Black Lives Matter for more money. What about fucking Al Sharpton right there on 145? National Action Network right there. You want to go there? I know Harlem. Harlem is trash.
Now he's talking. Now he's trying to get tough. Now he's trying to be tough.
Asshole. I assure you, don't come to Harlem. I will have to listen. I don't go to Harlem. There's a reason why I don't go to Harlem. That's why.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I assure you, don't come to Harlem. Here he goes. He's like, and I see that you are not putting up my comments as quickly as you were because it's easy for you to do that than deal with the reality. Fuck off. Like, dude, take your pro-Democrat ass somewhere else. We are not on that energy tonight. We trying to keep you. We trying to move forward. Okay, y'all have the same tired foolishness that the black community has been dealing with for 50 fucking years. I'm tired of this.
Isaiah, look. Priest Forever's right, man. CVS and Dwayne Reed, they just like to lock up all of their items. It's just fun. It's fun for them. It's something they like to spend extra money on. They like to have employees that have to unlock a deodorant or some razor blades for people because they have nothing better to do. That's what they like to do. So
look,
thanks,
brother,
Priest.
look at this. Look at this. If you want to be a sellout, that's on you. Ain't nobody selling out.
Oh my God.
Your punk ass is still voting Democrat. How about that? Y'all are the sellouts. Y'all let the Democrats bring in illegals. You let them bring in these communists from out of state, but we the sellouts for wanting to do something different.
I think we gave Priest enough air, man.
Yeah. Get the fuck out of here.
I appreciate you, Priest.
Thanks, man. Appreciate the thanks for the engagement.
Well, we don't have time for this guy.
No, this is the last one. Just because you running away from where you came from, brother, I don't mean anybody else feeling like, well, get the fuck out of here.
Oh, man.
Fuck out of here. Anyways.
Sounds good, man.
Get me on, man, please.
Go read a Ta-Nehisi Coates book, man. Get the fuck out of here.
Right, yeah. Go read Ta-Nehisi Coates. Yeah, go let him. I tell you what. Y'all want to vote for this, right? The mainstream Democrat Party this is now their flagship boy, okay? A guy that literally wants to quote, matter of fact, I'll let him say it.
What the purpose is about this entire project it's not simply to raise class consciousness, but to win socialism. And obviously raising class consciousness is a critical part of that. But making sure that we have candidates that both understand that and are willing to put that forward at every which moment that they have, at every which opportunity that they're given. We have to continue to elect more socialists. And we have to ensure that we are unapologetic about our socialism. There are also other issues that we firmly believe in, whether it's BDS, right? Or whether it's the end goal of seizing the means of production, where we do not have the same level of support at this very moment. And what I want to say is that it is critical that in the way that we organize, in the way that we set up our work and our priorities, that we do not leave any one issue for the other, that we do not.
Again, you have the Democrat candidate for mayor of the city of New York is actively talking about seizing the means of production.
Sounds pretty communist to me, man.
That is the basic definition of communism.
The Mamdani's
He's talking about raising class consciousness and seizing the means of production. That is the basics of communism.
He sounds like Bill de Blasio to me, though.
Yeah, Bill de Blasio.
Do you remember in COVID when we wanted to reopen the restaurants? He said, listen, we got to be clear about what we're doing here. We want to distribute the wealth.
Yeah.
It was the largest.
This is Democratic. This is a two-time mayor in New York City. Two-time. We've been here before, people. That's what I'm trying to say. He's not the boogeyman. He's the Democratic Party.
He is. He is.
He's the Democratic Party. He represents Andrew Cuomo. He represents Eric Adams. He represents Kathy Hochul. He now represents even the Speaker of the House. The minority leader of the House, Hakeem Jeffries.
Yeah.
They all came out, dude. And what happened? Look, Kathy Hochul endorses him. Does he turn around and endorse her? No.
Nope.
No. Who's got the juice? Him or her?
Oh, he's got the juice. Oh, yeah.
Oh, listen.
Dude, if he could run for president, which I think he can't, right? But if he could, he would be running in 4 years, I think.
Hakeem
in 2020, what was it, 2028 or whatever the next
Hakeem Jeffries is hung by the balls. I'll say it right now. That's the weakest man I have ever seen in my entire life. I have never seen somebody as weak as he is. Matter of fact, I'm gonna prove it to you because I'm gonna pull out.
Why is he in the position that he's in? I never got Hakeem Jeffries. Like, why is he like the leader?
The Democrats voted him the leader. That was it. He was the voice of the Democratic Party.
He's not an effective voice, man. He's a moron.
He's absolutely not. But he's another one that was playing identity politics forever. He was playing that we're right wing extremists. We're this. We're that. And I don't see any difference. And that's why, we have a lot of former Democrats now that are like, I'm sick of this. I know Isaiah is one of them, but we have all of them relapsing. And they're like, oh, well, you know what? Let's just not go full socialism. We'll just go corporate socialism with Cuomo. It wasn't that bad when he locked me in my house and he killed my grandmother. And so that's the thing for me is I'm like, what are we doing here, people?
Thanks, Sal. Thank you, Sal. Appreciate that, brother. Sal Greco reposted us.
Oh, nice. Shout out to Sal Greco.
Make sure listen to the show.
Yeah, I'm looking at. I'm trying to.
I hear you, John. That's it's true. I mean, it really doesn't seem to be substantively much of a difference between like a Bill de Blasio and Mamdani. And I hope you're right. Hopefully it's not. Hopefully we're not going to completely lose New York to communism or something like that. I know there's laws against. He really can't do half the shit he wants to do anyways, or says he wants.
He can't do half the shit. He's going to be facing a budget crisis. But the thing is, you got to worry because
I worry about the crime.
You got to worry about the crime, and you got to worry that there are tons of cops lining up to kiss Zohran Mamdani's ass, and that want to be his police commissioner, and that want to work in his administration. And you really gotta start to pay attention to what's happening here in New York, and it's going to have national implications, bro. And I think that what we're seeing in the New York City elections, I basically think the Republicans are giving away the midterms, and I think we're going to have a big problem in 2028.
I don't think they're going to give away the midterms. I still think
I'm telling you, Republicans are pissed, dude. Republicans are pissed.
Pissed at what? At losing
They're pissed at a lot of things, dude. They're pissed at the inflation. They're pissed at Jeffrey Epstein. They're pissed at a lot of this stuff. And then when you get to New York, all of us who were directly affected by these Democratic policies and nothing's been done for us. And we're like, what happened to us, dude? We were big supporters of you. You know, what'd you do for us? And then it's like, what'd you do? Oh, the one candidate that represented the working class in New York City and that was willing to drop all the nonsense that happened to us, you undermined him.
Exactly.
You undermined him and you put up Andrew Cuomo.
I hear you on that one. And this is Hakeem Jeffries, my statement on the New York City mayor's race. This has got to just. I'm gonna read in part. I'll go as quick as I can. For decades, let me see. I deeply respect the will of the primary voters and the young people who have been inspired to participate in the electoral process. Zohran Mamdani has relentlessly focused on addressing the affordability crisis and is explicitly committed to being a mayor for all New Yorkers, including those who do not support his candidacy. Let's see here. Let me just skip right to the end. As with any mayor, there will be areas of disagreement, areas of agreement, and areas of principled disagreement. Yet the stakes are existential. Donald Trump and because that's all these people can talk about. Donald Trump and Republicans in Congress have unleashed an unprecedented assault on the economy, ripped health care away from my constituents, weaponized the Department of Justice against my homegirl, Tish James, and ordered mass agents to callously target law-abiding immigrant families. The communities I represent in Brooklyn are devastated by this extreme version of the Republican Party. In this environment, we have a clear obligation to push back against the national nightmare being visited on the American people by Republican extremism. Donald Trump, our great Satan, must be given no space to haunt the people of New York City. I endorse. This is the weakest part right here. I endorse the Democratic ticket.
He didn't have to make that statement that long, man.
That's about as strong as wet cardboard, boys. But again, that to me, there's another reason why the Democratic Party pisses me off so bad. And I alluded to this in my Friday video. The Democrat Party is just, I know this is a different direction. The Democrat Party is just full of weak fucking men.
Yeah.
Just weak.
But so is the Republican.
I mean, the Republicans, absolutely. But there is such a marked difference in weakness between Democrat men and Republican men. Republican men, I'll talk about
Not
that
in New York. Not in New York.
Right, exactly. We're going to talk about New York because that's where we're at, right?
Yeah,
but the fact of the matter is, these vanilla statements, these inoffensive, I'm a Democrat and I'm supporting the Democrat ticket, without really going into the concerns of your people. Like, Black folk are genuinely concerned. By Black folk, I'm talking about I am talking about normally pro-Democrat Black folk. Okay? The ones who have been voting Democrat their entire lives, people who at one point supported Kamala Harris. Even they're starting to jump ship from the Democrats because they see what's happening. It's like they see that these Democrats have just completely thrown aside black and Hispanic people in favor of illegals and all the rest. And it's like the people are actually like just clocking out. And Democrats think they don't care. Now, don't get me wrong, Republicans don't care either. Because Republicans, I'll never forget, we had on somebody, we had on a guy who was like the vice president of the Manhattan GOP. And I'm trying to ask like serious questions, like, why aren't you running more candidates in this town? You're not offering people a better solution. And I know we alluded to this earlier, but you're not offering any new choices here. I shouldn't have to hear about an Athena Clark on fucking accident. It's not right. Athena Clark, like, no bullshit. Athena Clark should be New York City's Winsome Sears. Winsome Sears is running is the current lieutenant governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia. She's running for the governor's position in the Commonwealth, and Republicans are backing her. Like, Republicans are actually backing this lady. She's got a very, very solid conservative record under Glenn Youngkin. Athena Clark, we hear about by accident, and everybody's just supposed to go out and vote for. And she's running on the GOP. That pisses me off.
What about Maud Moran? She's running against Alvin.
Well, she was on. Yeah, she was on with us.
Do you see the GOP pushing her? She's running her own campaign.
She did a great job in a debate too.
Or Isaiah doesn't retweet her. Like, it doesn't.
I retweet her.
We retweeted her. We reposted her.
Maud Maron is
I did it the other day.
Of mine.
But that's what I'm saying is, like, just same thing. Maud, Athena. These are grassroots candidates that are basically funding their own campaigns. They're running their own campaigns, and they're getting zero help.
None.
Zero help.
None.
So could we make Alvin Bragg the boogeyman like Zohran Mamdani in Manhattan? I don't even think we need to try.
You absolutely could. I mean, you
for a minimal cost, dude. And there's there's nothing on any of these candidates.
It drives me crazy because it's like, literally, you're wondering why Manhattan, even in the more affluent parts of Manhattan, you're watching retail businesses, brick and mortar shops are closing up. Nobody wants to be there. And if it isn't congestion pricing for the economic apartheid that Kathy Hochul is imposing, okay, because she was trying to raise money for a down payment on a loan for the MTA. Yes, I know about that. Okay, if it's not that driving people away, it's the fact that you get arrested for a crime, for hitting somebody upside the head or robbing somebody, and you're back on the street in less than 2 hours.
And more than likely, Alvin Bragg drops your case in a week, so you never get held accountable for anything, and you have no record. So it's like, well, he was never convicted of anything. It's like, yeah, because you drop every case he ever had. You know, you drop every.
And this is apparently, and see, this right here is why I am especially angry at black people who continue to vote Democrat. Because these people will do shit like this, and they'll be like, oh, well, they're doing black folk a favor. You believe that shit?
But that's the thing. So, but that's my point. Is like, now you listen to Zohran Mamdani, where everyone's like, he wants to get rid of misdemeanor arrest. We don't have misdemeanor arrest anyway. We arrest them. They spend 3 hours in jail, and the case gets dropped anyway. Because if you look at Alvin Bragg's office, he doesn't prosecute misdemeanors. So we're already living it right now. And that's what my message has been this entire mayor race. We can't say we're leaving the Democratic Party, but I'm voting for Andrew Cuomo. Because what are we ultimately going to get? First off, you're never getting Andrew Cuomo. You're only getting Zohran Mamdani. But that's the other point. But even if you could get Andrew Cuomo, do you really want him? I mean, these are all the problems that we already have.
What do you mean? What do you mean? Do you want him?
Every problem that we're facing currently in New York City is the direct result of Andrew Cuomo and the Democratic Party.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
So you're saying it's Curtis or bust?
It has to be. Yeah.
I'm saying it's Curtis, or you want to continue the direction New York City is headed, because it's not headed up, and it hasn't been headed up since Bill de Blasio took office. We've been on this traction of going down, and it's going to continue with Zohran Mamdani. It's going to continue with Andrew Cuomo. Maybe Zohran Mamdani has a little bit more weight in front of his car, and he's going a little faster. But it's still going this way with Andrew Cuomo, because you can't sell me on this guy's going to fix all the problems he created. You just can't sell me on it.
Yeah.
I
Let me
hear
see
you.
if I can. Well,
Why
I
do you
do
think,
wanna-
John? Why do you think that they do this with the these like Alvin Bragg and so many other DAs and prosecutors and judges? Why do they let people out? Why do they arrest people if they arrest them? They arrest people 39 times, 17 times, 20 times, violent crimes, things that they really should be putting somebody away for a couple of years at least, and they just let them out, and then eventually they just go and kill somebody, stab somebody, rape somebody. Like I just saw somebody in Florida just got released on some judge released him. He was attempted rape. Some young black guy, I think, to some girl, attempted rape, beat her up a little bit, but I think she escaped or something like that. And the judge just let him go on probation or something and promised to do better. Maybe, I don't know, maybe go to therapy. It's like, how are you going to put somebody out in the street who just was waiting in a trail, like a wooded trail, to rape somebody? That person needs to go away for a long time, regardless of whether they're successful or not. Like, that's a crazy person. That's a deeply sociopathic, psychopathic, predatory person. What are they doing? Why would you give them another chance? Obviously, they can't control their impulses. What is going on in Democrats' minds when they just do this like 30 times in a row per person?
So I think when you look at these candidates, right, who are they funded by? They're funded by billionaires. What are the billionaires tied to? They're tied to real estate. What did the Democratic Party want to accomplish in New York? They want to ultimately bring in the city of yes, which is going to fundamentally transform every working class neighborhood in New York City. It's going to make places where they're traditionally single or two-family homes, and it's going to open it up that anything could be built there, skyscrapers, all of this stuff. What would get people to move out of their single family homes and their
High
two
crime.
family homes and their and close up their mom and pop shops? I mean, they showed us what they did, right? You could go to Costco, you could go to Target during COVID, but you couldn't go to Henry's nail and bolt store or Henry's locksmith. Though, mom and pop shops were dangerous, but corporations weren't dangerous. And I think what's happening is they want a fundamental transformation of New York City into a 15-minute city, into a city for the rich. Again, they're unaffected by these policies. Bill Ackman, where he lives personally, there's no crime in his neighborhood. When he comes to Manhattan, he's surrounded by armed guards. He doesn't live the same type of Manhattan that we live. He doesn't ride the subways. When he goes out to a restaurant, he has armed guards in the restaurant with him. They walk him and escort him to the restaurant. It's safe for him. It's safe for Donald Trump when he goes up in the Trump Tower and he's got 1 million people with him. It's safe for Eric Trump. For me and you, yeah, it might be safe for us, but is it for our wives? Is it for our children? Is it for our elderly parents and our grandparents? No, it's not. And because they don't care, they don't live the same type of lifestyle I live. And I got to sit there, and I'm saying, why would a rational person who has the ability and competence to make a lot of money, why would you ever fund an Alvin Bragg? Why would you ever fund a Zohran Mamdani? Why would you ever fund Andrew Cuomo? Why? Because your interests are their interest. What's your interest? Your interest is development. Your interest is getting city contracts. I mean, look at what's happening right now. We're being told that as all the people that are being deported, we're still paying $1 billion a year to house these people. We just renewed the contract in January. It runs through the entire of Trump's presidency. Who got the contract? New York City Hotel Owners Association, right? Like, we're being told, like, oh, we're going to get all these people out that all the Democrats just welcome in. But you know what? We're going to take some money from the city, a couple of $1 billion more to keep them housed in New York City. And it's like, it's so much mixed messaging. And I think a lot of it has to do with money. And I think there is a transformation happening in New York City. And just before I end my long-winded rant, if you look at Rikers Island and why they want to close it, they don't want to close Rikers Island because they care about prisoners. They want to close Rikers Island because it's prime real estate.
Yep.
Wow.
I do want to play. Yeah.
I think you're right about that, by the way, too.
No, that's exactly what they want to do. That's exactly.
I had the same suspicions, but I didn't really look into it. But that's what I thought. It has to do like real estate development. They want to buy parts of the city, control more of the city, own more of the city, make us all renters, that kind of thing. That's what I assumed. Because obviously, they're not putting in millions. Soros isn't putting in millions or billions of dollars over the years for people just to release prisoners 1 million times because they care about marginalized people, marginalized Black people, and the marginalized Latino people and immigrants. They don't give a shit about them.
The idea, dude, the idea behind that, though, was this. They were going to open, they wanted to close Rikers, right? so they could have their, I guess I don't know what the fuck they were going to do.
Maybe. By the way, Cuomo was all on board for that.
Cuomo was all on board with it. You're absolutely right.
He started the train.
Here's what the timeline was supposed to be with that. I know this pretty well. They were going to close Rikers Island. They were going to close the prison on Rikers Island. Okay, and in the stead of Rikers, they were going to build. The idea was that they were going to build community jails, smaller institutions throughout the 5 boroughs. Okay, that's one of the reasons why the Tombs that in downtown Manhattan got torn down and is a lot smaller than what it currently is. That's why Brooklyn's jail in downtown Brooklyn on Atlantic Avenue, that's why that got torn down. Okay, the idea was to create smaller houses of incarceration that eventually would be like pretrial things, community jails they called them, right? But here's the issue. What the socialists, what the commies wanted to do was they wanted to keep the community jail part tied up in red tape and tied up in committee. They were going to complain about it, but not do anything about it. They were going to complain about it, not do anything about it. Meanwhile, you have thousands of incarcerated people. They got to go somewhere. Where are they going to go? You're going to ship them upstate? You're going to ship them to Sing Sing or one of these other prisons upstate? No, of course not. Because they haven't. A lot of them are still awaiting trial. So what are you going to do? You're just going to let them out. And that is what they really want. That's what the communists really, really want. We're talking about people we are talking about people who are fully committed to the idea of abolishing prisons. They think the very idea of locking violent criminals away is a form of white supremacy. They genuinely do, folks.
And if you go back to 2020, Andrew Cuomo agrees.
He
released more prisoners in New York than any governor ever in history. And he released 43 cop killers, his parole board. I mean, and it's like, to me, it's so unforgivable, all of his actions. And I sit here and I'm like, how could anyone sit there and look a New Yorker in the face and be like, you should vote for this guy?
I don't know, dude.
Why was he releasing cop killers? What was the reasoning for that?
Because everything that Isaiah just said, Andrew Cuomo subscribed to it all, or he got bullied enough by the radicals to do it. Maybe he's a Hakeem Jeffries. He blows with the wind, Andrew Cuomo. You know,
Yeah.
he's like,
That's
he's a willow.
unbelievable.
He's not an oak. The wind blows this way. Andrew Cuomo's blowing this way. It blows that way. Now he wants to pretend like, oh, you know, I'm a moderate. I'm common sense now. It's like,
Yeah.
do you remember yourself? You know?
No, you're 100% right. I do remember that.
A lot of Chuck
I do
Schumer.
remember that. Yeah.
He reminds me of Chuck Schumer. Remember all throughout the Biden administration, Chuck Schumer, every single day, that dude woke up and said, today would be a great day. Today's a great day to cancel student loan debt. He only did that. No, I'm dead serious. He did that like throughout like all the years of the Biden administration. And he did that to appeal to the communists, to appeal to the people who are voting for Zoran.
The useful idiots.
The useful idiots.
The Yuri Bezmenov talked about.
He was trying to keep those wild animals off of his back.
Yeah.
Again, Democrats, I forget who said this, but Democrats have created a base of voters they are absolutely terrified of. That's really what's going on here. They have created a base of voters that they are fucking terrified of. They don't know what to do with them. They know that they're the ones who will show up at the building in DC where all the Senate and all the congressional offices are, the Rayburn building. They'll go there, they'll stack up like 25, 30 deep in the office, and they'll raise hell. They won't get anything done. They'll cause problems with staff. These people are nuts.
And so this is the Democratic Party. And
Exactly.
that is my case, is like what we're doing here in New York is insanity. Because we're not stopping the Democratic Party. we're moving left with them. If we're truly Republican, if we're truly conservative, even if you told me Curtis Sliwa has no shot, fine, I don't care, because I'm holding on to my values. I'm not moving to the left with you. You're not going to push me over here, and now Andrew Cuomo is a conservative Republican. It's not going to happen.
It's not happening.
And I gave this scenario, and people like it's not a fair scenario, and I'm like, it's 100% a fair scenario. Ilhan Omar, she can't be the president of the United States, but let's say she could. Could we agree that Ilhan Omar and Zohran Mamdani are basically the same?
Yeah,
right?
Basically, That's a great comparison. Yeah.
So here's my thing: Democratic primary runs. We're told over and over in the polls, Gavin Newsom's a shoo-in. And then next thing we know, we wake up the next morning and Ilhan Omar wins the Democratic primary for president. J.D. Vance is our Republican nominee. And we're told the polls show J.D. Vance has no shot, but we can't let Ilhan Omar get in because she's too dangerous. We have to vote for Gavin Newsom. Vote Gavin Newsom to save America.
It's a good analogy.
I'm not voting for Gavin Newsom.
I'm
not voting for Andrew Cuomo.
Wow.
This is what we're doing. We're going to fundamentally change. The Democratic Party is gone. You just said it. You know it. You see it. They're not afraid of those voters. That is the Democratic Party. They have to appease to them. They have to. They run the Democratic Party. Zohran Mamdani's got the juice. He has the minority leader of the House kissing his ass. He has the governor of New York kissing his ass. And in turn, do you think he's going to endorse them? Absolutely not. Who's he endorsing? He's going to endorse a radical to take them out. And they're just trying to hold on for dear life.
You folks, I just played the video. We just played the video. The point is they want to elect more socialists. Now, real quick, I do want to get to this because now I do want to talk about Sliwa. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, this is Apostate Radio, episode 32. This honestly is one of my favorite episodes so far. I have been fired up about this for quite some time. I want to thank each and every one of you for watching, for liking, subscribing. Please send this out into the algorithm. We appreciate it. Share this with your friends on X, on Rumble, YouTube, wherever you are consuming our content. We really appreciate you. We got Lieutenant John Macari of the Finest Unfiltered podcast with us. This is a Brooklyn boy through and through. Which is part of the reason why I get along with him, because Brooklyn is, in my opinion, the best borough. Don't tell Kareen that though. Kareen's the Bronx girl. But anyways, no. Let's get to Curtis, because Curtis is on our hearts. He's a guy we love, a guy we appreciate. The hood, he is the hood favorite. We might as well just go ahead and say it. The hood loves Curtis. He gave an answer in last week's debate that I particularly liked regarding the homeless. I forget what this was about, but hold on. Oh, that's not even the right window. What am I doing? Oh no, it is. Pardon me for a second. I'm just trying to make sure I get this completely correct. We don't want to make too many mistakes on the fly here. So it's talking about housing and the homeless, the homeless problem in New York City. And Sliwa gave a fantastic answer, one that neither Cuomo or Zohran really gave an answer to, and I want to play this for you and get your thoughts on this, John, behind it. So here we go.
Pose the bill.
Keep going back and forth between the two of you, Mr. Sliwa. It's your turn.
Andrew, you didn't leave. You fled from being impeached by the Democrats in the state legislature. Leave. You fled. But let's get back on topic, because I'm the only candidate up here who's been into many of the over 300 Department of Homeless Services shelters and the family shelters are unsafe for the families there. We have to make them safer. We have to bring teachers into the shelter. Many times, the mothers or the guardian have to get on bus after bus and take them to a school that's 2 or 2.5 hours away. This is a horror situation that's taking place. And we have to prioritize this because this number of homeless children is going to grow. It takes 5 years to build affordable housing. We need to address it in the shelters itself to be able to handle it so that the teachers can come in, whether they're public school teachers, charter school teachers, and I know there are a number of parochial school teachers who love children who would volunteer their efforts to do that.
We're going to give it to Katie Honan now to ask about another aspect of affordable housing.
We're going to switch to the...
Yeah, that was a fantastic answer. That was a fantastic response on the part of Sliwa. The one thing, John, that I like about Sliwa's answers throughout the debate was that they were practical. Like, you could really tell that just by the amount of substance that was in that were in his responses, and I probably should have taken a little bit more of these so we could talk about them in this last hour. But this guy, his answers showed throughout the debate that he's actually out there talking to people, trying to figure out what would work best and serve the people. What are your thoughts on that?
So, clear difference between Curtis Sliwa, Andrew Cuomo, and Zohran Mamdani, and it's this. Andrew Cuomo and Zohran Mamdani are looking at issues from a top level down. Curtis Sliwa, what he showed you there is he understands what's happening from the bottom up because he actually understands it. Not only is he right, he nails the exact problem when it comes to homelessness and mentally illness is these shelters are a problem. And they've been a problem for over a decade since Andrew Cuomo removed beds out of New York State and we stopped in New York City doing oversight of our homeless shelters. Homeless shelters are so dangerous that in the wintertime, I'm going to give you a story, and it's one of many, but I'll give you a story. I'm driving around Brooklyn. It's about 2 o'clock in the morning one night. It's freezing out. It's below zero. There's a black guy on the corner. I know the guy for a long time. He's always getting in trouble, robbing things. He has bolt cutters. He has bolt cutters on him. And he actually, it wasn't 2 o'clock in the morning, but it was dark out, and it was probably at night, but it was just freezing out, so nobody was out. And he has bolt cutters, and he's trying to cut the chain off a bike. So, and he sees me, and I pull up to him. He knows the unmarked car. He knows me. I'm the sergeant in the neighborhood. I've dealt with him. And I'm like, what are you doing here? And he goes, what the fuck does it look like I'm doing? I'm trying to rob this bike. And I'm like, bro. And I'm like, are you serious? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, bro, what's the matter? He goes, I'm going to freeze out here and die, dude. I need you to lock me up. And I'm like, dude, I can't lock you up I can't lock you up for the bike. I don't know whose bike it is. How am I going to prove whose bike it is? I know you're stealing a bike. I know it's stolen, but I need a complaint. And how do I know whose bike that is? It's just a bike chained to a pole. I can't lock you up for that. I'm like, come on, I'll take you to a shelter. He's like, no, bro. He's like, I'm not going there. I'd rather go to jail, dude. He's like, it's not safe there, bro. They rape people there. They rob people there.
Jesus.
Like, I'm not going to the shelter.
There's a guy? He's a man?
He's a man.
He's worried about getting raped? Jesus.
That's how bad it is, dude. That's how
crazy.
dangerous these shelters are, dude. They're like, you ever seen New Jack City?
I haven't actually. It's on my list.
I've seen it. I've seen that movie.
Watch it. That's what the shelter is. It's run by gangs. It's run by the people, the strongest people in there. And so he goes, well, listen, I robbed these bolt cutters from down the block. Could you go talk to him and get me arrested? And I'm like, is this a joke? He's like, bro, I'm going to die out here, dude. He goes, I'm not going to the shelter. So I'm like, all right, show me where you robbed it from. He took me to the store. The owner was still there. I'm like, did he rob this? He goes, yeah, but I don't want to press charges. I'm like, but he wants you to press charges. He goes, well, I'm like, what if we give you money what if we give you money for a hotel or whatever? And even the owner was willing to kick him money. And he goes, no, dude, it's not going to be enough. I need to stay in for a couple of months. I got enough history. They'll keep me in for a little while. I need to stay in for the winter. It's a cold winter. So I locked this poor bastard up for steering bolt cutters because that's how disgusting our system is in New York City. We spend $1 billion a year on homeless. It doesn't go to the homeless. We spend another $1 billion on the mentally ill. It doesn't go to the mentally ill. And what you heard there is a mayoral candidate who gives a shit, and you got two phonies standing up on that stage, and they're going to do the same exact shit that's been happening on these streets for the last 13 years. And it's got to end at some point.
The homeless industrial complex is a very real thing. Shout to my boy Jason Curtis Anderson, who's taught me a lot about that whole situation.
Jesus,
and he needs to wake the hell up too, Jason. If you're listening to this, like for Cuomo, are you kidding me?
Jesus, man, that's a dismal story, man.
You know, I have a story similar to that. When I first moved up here, a lot of people don't know this. When I first moved up to New York City, this was like months after a separation. I came up here to New York with $120 in my pocket. I stayed with a friend through the first like few weeks of training for my career. Okay. And then a misunderstanding happened, and I ended up having to leave this friend's place. And then I ended up staying at a YMCA for about a week and a half. YMCA on Mezzaroli Avenue in Greenpoint. And something happened there, and I had to leave. I had nowhere to go. So I was living out of my car for a month. Now, granted, my story pales in comparison to some of these other guys, but I was sleeping in my car in August of 2015. I still remember what the mosquito bites felt like when I was sleeping at on North 12th Street in Williamsburg. Okay, like before they put the park there. The first night that I went to the men's shelter over on First Ave. I went to Bellevue. Okay. I didn't know what was going on. Right. I just figured, okay, here's the shelter. Let me at least see, let me see what's happening. The horrors I saw waiting in line to go there. And even I thought to myself, I'm going to take my chances in my car. And you know what? The police officer who was there, who was doing like the intake, she understood. She understood. She was like, you know what? I hear you. Good luck. And thankfully a month later, I got a place out. My first room that I rented was in Jamaica, Queens, but and we're talking about 10 years ago.
And it's gotten worse.
Because now you've got people who are now you got nonprofits who are running these shelters. They're making ridiculous salaries off them. They're making like six figures. The executive directors of these homeless nonprofit or organizations, they're making like $300,000, $400,000 a year. And they're taking in so much money from the state and the city. It's ridiculous. And that's not even counting whatever they were getting from USAID. It's ridiculous. And you know something? I definitely have to give Curtis a lot of credit for that answer. But I want to talk about this real quick. Because I'm very conflicted about this, because as much as I love Curtis, I don't think he's doing himself any favors. I don't like something happened before the debate. He got into it with Sid Rosenberg on 77 WABC, and I want to play that. I want to play 4 minutes of this exchange, because I think he was making a good point, and we'll talk about it on the other side. But I want to play this so that everybody gets the full context of the situation. Here is the exchange between Sid Rosenberg on Sid and Friends, 77 WABC. This is 4 minutes of it.
so far you've been on this show for 8 minutes, and all you've talked about is Cuomo. And I know you hate him. And I'm going to be honest with you, Curtis, because we've been friends for a long time. I don't feel like you're running against Mamdani anymore. I really don't. This hatred for Cuomo, which you've got 100 times over, like Janice Dean has enveloped you to the point where I think you're losing sight of who you're running against. Cuomo's not in first. He's not in first. You have to leapfrog Cuomo to beat the guy in first. I go to your page, I got to go 12 goddamn tweets before I see Mamdani's name. This obsession with Cuomo has to stop. He's not winning. You can beat Cuomo and still lose the election. 8 minutes in, you haven't mentioned Mamdani once. Why?
Let me tell you, I'm talking to WABC now. I'm hurt. I have armed security guards now protecting my life and Nancy's life. I've been bribed by the billionaires to drop out of here. If anything happens to me or anything happens to my wife because of this frenzy that I hear constantly coming from some of your colleagues here at WABC, it's on you guys and you gals. That my life is on the line here, Sid. My wife, Nancy, was never harmed anybody who only cares about people and animals is under threat now. Even when the Gottis and Gambinos put a hit on me, 5 hollow point bullets, I never had armed security. The frenzy that is coming out of people's mouths. And then you'll have influencers come on. Hey, what a great job they did. After October 8th. By the way, who was outside with you at Cooper Union soon after when Jewish kids were being attacked in the library by the Palestinian mob? I was with the Guardian Angels. There were only 40 people there. Where were all the influencers?
Who has said that a million times? I don't protect the influencers. I kill the influencers. And I give you credit for that all the time. All the time. You were out there at Cooper Union.
Let me suggest one thing.
Yeah.
You've had on that young lady, that conservative influencer, Emily Austin.
No, she hasn't been on in a while.
Right. You better talk to her. She created Hot Girls for Cuomo on Tuesday. Didn't even secure the domain.
Yeah.
Somebody else grabbed the domain and put up all the sexual harassment charges of Andrew Cuomo.
Yeah.
He's running a horrible campaign, Sid. Can you at least acknowledge that?
No, I don't know, because I want you or him to win. Now we're 10 minutes in, and you're still talking about Cuomo. I mean, what's wrong with you? You got to beat Mamdani. You got to get over whatever your friends are in Middle Village or Staten Island or Brooklyn, F Cuomo, F Sid. You got to get over it. You're going to lose, and you're going to lose badly, embarrassingly.
You know this. You're the one who said that Cuomo would win the primary, didn't you?
No. First, yes, I did, and everybody else, because nobody saw Mamdani coming. So stop with the Cuomo.
No, I saw Mamdani
Curtis,
coming.
I talked to you. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. I spoke to you yesterday, and you said to me, good advice. Good idea. Maybe form a coalition. Maybe the two of you.
No, I never said that, Sid. Don't put words in my mouth.
You didn't say good advice to me?
Let me tell you
Curtis,
straight up,
Curtis,
Sid.
you didn't say good advice to me?
No. Let me tell you straight up, Sid. Yeah. Right out of The Godfather. Yeah. Whoever approaches you with a meeting, you know what the story is. They've turned on you. WABC has turned on me.
This is not about ABC. It's about Sid. Forget about ABC.
No. This is about WABC.
Okay, Curtis, you made your point. You made your point about the station. I'm okay with it. Fine. You got it. Now it's Sid and Curtis trying to have an adult conversation. The way you're running your campaign right now, you're going to lose and lose badly. You two guys need to figure something out. You've mentioned Cuomo for 12 minutes. You're still not talking about Mamdani. You're talking about WABC and Cuomo. That's not going to win you this goddamn race.
Sid.
And there you have it. That was earlier in that exchange, just for those of you who are listening that aren't familiar. Sliwa ended up quitting from WABC and earlier in that exchange, quite publicly. He had expressed a lot of displeasure, and to a certain extent, I understand. He was expressing much displeasure at the fact that that WABC's ownership and many of the on-air talent have been calling repeatedly for Cuomo to drop out. John, you might have a little bit more insight into this than I do. Maybe you can add a little bit more like context and then give me your
yeah. So one, I want to be clear about WABC, and I want to be clear about Sid Rosenberg. WABC is controlled by John Catsimatidis. John Catsimatidis' daughter runs the Manhattan GOP, who shockingly stood strong with Sliwa and continues to endorse Sliwa and does not want Sliwa to drop out. However, John Catsimatidis is the direct problem in the GOP in New York City. He runs for Democrats. He supports Democrats. He supports Eric Adams. He supports Andrew Cuomo. If anybody's to blame for Zohran Mamdani's rise, it's John Catsimatidis. So that's one. The station itself has been Democrat. I mean, for God's sakes, they have Anthony Weiner on there. Who's giving Anthony Weiner a radio show? Like, so that's one. They have Governor Patterson on.
What?
Yeah, Governor Anthony Weiner, who tried to run for city council and failed miserably, was on a radio show for Anthony Weiner. But let's not. So my whole view of WABC is they are a Democrat-run radio station. They sprinkle in some conservatives, so it looks good. They have a Roger Stone on there. They have an Anthony Cumia on there. So it looks good. They used to have Lydia on there. They used to have Rudy Giuliani on there, and they kicked Rudy Giuliani off. Merrick is mayor. I think a strong Republican. So that's one.
Do they still syndicate Sean Hannity show?
They still syndicate Sean Hannity and Greg Kelly.
Okay.
But it's like I said, they sprinkle them in. But the message and the narrative is one day, everybody on WABC just woke up, and Sid's one of them. Sid was posting, I'm not a fence jumper. I'm from Brooklyn. I'm never turning on my friend Curtis Sliwa. I'm going to be with Curtis Sliwa to the end. If anybody's a tough guy, it's me. And I know this and I know that. And then he goes and blocks me on social media for absolutely no reason because he's not a tough guy and he is a fence jumper. And we're sitting here right after Charlie Kirk gets assassinated. And everyone's like, oh, let's turn the temperature down. And a man who worked at WABC, and probably the only reason that WABC exists on the air is because of Curtis Sliwa, because he has a large radio following and people love Curtis Sliwa. So after 30 years of service, this man is receiving death threats because one day everyone miraculously on WABC woke up and said, you know what? We're not really conservatives. We all really support Cuomo, like Macari's been saying for a very long time that John Catsimatidis funds the Democrats in New York City. Zohran Mamdani is a result of John Catsimatidis and WABC. And all of the failures of the Democratic Party, you could thank John Catsimatidis and WABC for because he's been funding all of them. Alvin Bragg, Andrew Cuomo, Kathy Hochul, and every other Democrat that you don't like in New York City, John Catsimatidis loves them. And so now you got Sid Rosenberg, who's supposed to be a friend, and we're coming off of Charlie Kirk just being assassinated. And WABC was saying, we're going to turn the temperature down, and they turned the temperature up on their own friend. They're a bunch of sellouts. Curtis Sliwa did not go far enough. He should never step foot back in that radio station. And Sid Rosenberg, if you're listening to this, you're a sellout. And not only are you a sellout, you're back in 2016 with Hillary because you're a little snowflake because you can't even answer questions or have legitimate civil debate because you're a coward and you don't have the #1 radio show in the morning any longer, my friend, if you ever even did, because we're pulling bigger numbers than you every time we go live. So I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Oh, my God. I had no idea that any of this was happening. I mean, I've never met Sid Rosenberg. I'm not gonna, I have nothing to say about him. It's just that I just looked at that and was like, okay, you're going to, like, Curtis was going, the way I saw it, Curtis was going to war with a radio station that he'd been on for what, like how long has he been with WABC? Like 30 years, 20 some years. Like he's been
30 years, and the billionaires come to him offering him everything. We'll give you a farm. We'll give you $10 million. Just get out of the race because you don't support the city of yes or whatever that is. They don't care if it's Mondani or if it's Cuomo. I'm telling you right now, the billionaire class could care less if it's Mondani or if it's Cuomo. They just want it to be a Democrat. And they come to him with 10 million. And when he turns the offer down, his life and his wife's life starts being threatened. And my friends, what do? Do they come out and say that it's wrong that his life is being threatened, his wife's life is being threatened? No. They're telling him, get out of the race. You can't win. The numbers show that. And what have they ever been right about? What has Sid Rosenberg ever been right about in the political sphere? Nothing. Zip. Zero. Nada. He was with her in 2016. He was waiting for Hillary Clinton's fireworks show to go off because he believed the polls. He thought Andrew Cuomo was the Democratic primary winner. Nobody's voting for this little terrorist. That's what he said. I'm sitting there. Everybody's making fun of me. I'm like, this kid's winning the Democratic primary. I'm telling you right now, they don't know what they're talking about or they're lying. It's one or the other. They created Zohran Mamdani, and they tried to blame Curtis Sliwa for him. And now that they turned the temperature up on him and they turned the political violence up on him, it was absolutely disgusting. I have no respect for Sid Rosenberg, John Katzimatidis, and everyone else that miraculously just woke up that morning when John Katzimatidis told them they're going to endorse Cuomo, and they did it. I feel sorry for them. They're not men. They don't have their own voices. They're men struggling for a paycheck from a tyrant.
Damn.
Sorry for my rant.
No, that was good. I like.
I
like that. That's a good rant, man. That was solid.
Better than mine. I mean, I scream at pro Democrat black dudes in Harlem. Listen,
You sitting there yelling at Luke Cage, man.
No, we got Luke Cage on the show. He's down here. You see him? Big but no, like I don't know, man. Like
That's crazy,
I like Curtis. Sid seems like a good guy. I would love to talk with him and pick his brain about this. But like there are a lot of people who, from what I've seen, have who are I just never understood. Like even when I'm gonna play this, I feel like it's relevant because this is something that's been driving me crazy. They'll say things like, well, we like Curtis. Curtis would make a great mayor. He would, he would do a lot of good things. But we're gonna go with Dov Hikind. Again, I have no quarrel with the man. We follow each other. I happen to respect him. I think he's a pretty nice guy. I'd actually love to have him on the show. So Dov, please, I'd love to have you on here. We'd love to talk with you. But he actually took back his initial endorsement of Sliwa
miraculously,
and now he is backing Cuomo. He writes, an urgent election update. As difficult as it is for me to post this video, I must face the reality as I see it. And I endorsed Curtis Sliwa. And while I never thought I'd say this, I am now asking that you vote for Cuomo. I'll let him speak in his own words.
My friends, this is truly a very difficult moment for me. 4 months ago, I endorsed Curtis Sliwa for mayor. But today I am asking you, pleading with you to vote for Andrew Cuomo. Here's why. New York City is in a critical moment. If Mamdani wins, the future of our city is on the line. That's not politics. That's reality. A man who associates with someone who said America deserved 9/11 and another individual tied to the 1993 World Trade Center bombing is simply unfit to run this city. He's pushing ideas like free buses for everyone and government-run grocery stores and free everything for everybody. That's not progress. That's disaster waiting to happen. Now, look, I have my issues with Andrew Cuomo. They're well known. And I understand if some of you feel the same way. That's exactly why this moment matters so much. We do not have the luxury of misplacing our votes. I like Curtis. I still think he'd be a great mayor. But right now, there's only one person who can stop Mamdani, and that's Andrew Cuomo. You don't have to love him. You don't have to like him. You just have to save New York City. So I urge you to vote for Cuomo.
What are your thoughts on that, John?
First of all, I just got to say that I'm highly disgusted. So, Dove, if you're listening to this, Yoni, if you listen to this, I am highly disgusted and perturbed. I've had conversations with him online, offline, and I'm not going to go into those conversations, but I got a couple of questions. One, I'd love to know how much Curtis Sliwa's campaign, how much money he's taken from Curtis Sliwa's campaign, and I'd love to know what made him wake up today and decide to endorse Andrew Cuomo, because he didn't tell us that. He didn't tell us why Andrew Cuomo could beat Zohran Mamdani, and I'd love to know if he took money from Andrew Cuomo's campaign. I'd love to know if he took money from any PACs associated with Andrew Cuomo. And I'd love, because to me, it doesn't seem organic at all. And my thoughts on it are follow the money. And it's absolutely disgusting. Because here's the thing, right? If us three go out to a bar and we're friends and I tell you I'm with you, and I don't care if 30 people come, 100 people come, 50 people come, I don't care what it is, I'm with you. You know who those guys are? You go to a bar with them, they tell you I'm with you, you pay for all their drinks, and then guess what happens? One little guy comes up and he starts acting up and they run out the back door and they're gone. That's who they are. They're fence jumpers. Absolutely disgusting. He didn't even tell you why Andrew Cuomo is the guy. And I've been having this argument with everyone, with mayoral candidate Jim Walden and every other candidate. Oh, the polls, John. I'm like, which polls? Which polls? The polls that told you that Andrew Cuomo was going to be the Democratic primary winner? The betting sites that told you that Andrew Cuomo was going to be the primary winner? The polls that told you that Eric Adams was going to come in second, the closest? The betting sites that told you that Eric Adams was going to come in closest? Which polls are we talking about? Or the polls that put Andrew Cuomo the closest, but show in a one-on-one race that Curtis Sliwa does better in a one-on-one versus Zohran Mamdani than an Andrew Cuomo? Or how about the polls that, even though they're highly skewed in the Democratic favor, because who's really paying for these polls? Come on. You know, even though it's a felony in New York, I guess it just doesn't get enforced. But even those polls, what do they show? Andrew Cuomo's favorability, he has none. Sliwa voters never vote for Andrew Cuomo. The majority of Sliwa voters will never. It's at a near 0%. But the other way around, it's over 30% of Cuomo voters would vote for a Sliwa. And they're not looking at any of that, and they're never going to answer that question. They're just going to tell you, I don't believe in the polls, but because of the polls, I'm supporting Andrew Cuomo. And all I'm saying to everybody on here and to all of you, follow the money, because these people are political grifters and they should never be trusted ever again, because they showed their true character, whoever they are, and there's no going back from this. We will know who they are for the rest of their life. When they decide to walk away from the Democratic Party again, next election cycle, go tell them they're full of shit, because all they are is political grifters and they're looking to fill their pockets. Disgusting.
It hurts because there are a lot of people who I know, who I've known in passing, who my thing is this: I believe there are a lot of good people who have that concern about electability, who have that concern about like I believe there are people who are genuine in their thoughts about Andrew Cuomo, who might be very, very much genuine and be like, you know what, Cuomo, because of his experience. I mean, it is objectively true that Cuomo does have top-down governmental experience, right?
We know he could drive a car. But he's murdered 4 people driving the car. Should we give him the car again?
I hear what you're saying.
Oh no, but he drove the car before. It's like, okay, yeah. How'd he do? Did he do good? No, he didn't. Okay.
I get it. Okay, I do understand, and trust me, I am. If I had to say what I am pro Sliwa. I am a pro Sliwa guy. I'm not gonna. If I was able to, because I no longer live in New York City, so I can't vote. I cannot vote for in this election. If I was, I would vote for Sliwa. And I think, honestly, that more people in the hood, like I said earlier, I think that people who see this guy, Sliwa is the hood favorite in this case. But my thing is, I'm not as quick to attack other folks who might be pro Cuomo. Okay.
Well, here's why I am, though. Here's why I am.
Please.
These are the same people that were telling you that only Eric Adams could beat Zohran Mamdani the day after the Democratic primary, and they were telling Andrew Cuomo to sit down. And the facts then are the same as the facts now. There are no facts. They're just selling you a pipe dream and hype. And it's like if Dove, explain it to us what it is. No one's explained it. Why Cuomo has the best path to victory. How is everyone going to feel when we wake up the day after the election and it's Zohran Mamdani, Curtis Sliwa, and Andrew Cuomo? How are we going to feel? I'll tell you how you're going to feel. You're going to feel like a sellout because that's exactly what you are. None of you walked away from the Democratic Party. You ran into the arms of a tyrant. That's what it is. That's what's happening here. Why did Dov Hikind wake up the day after the first day of early voting? Why, Doug? What changed from now to 3 months ago? Nothing. There's nothing that changed. Obviously, something changed, and we're going to find out because I follow the money. We'll find out what it is, and everybody will know down the road. I might not know for 6 months, but we'll know. I might not know for a year, but we'll know. But what changed? And maybe it won't be big news anymore. Nobody will care. But guess what? I'm going to remember. I remember.
Would you run for office again? Or would you try to run for office here in New York City?
I've never ran for office. And honestly, I think I'm a lot more effective at what I'm doing. I think me going to sit in a city council seat, I don't think it's going to have as much impact as I could have doing what I'm doing. And so, and I'm also looking to go even further than past New York. I love New York City. It's my home. My parents are buried there. My grandparents are buried there. Every cemetery in the city is filled with members of my family. It's the only place I ever know. It's the only place I feel comfortable. I love it. I think me running for city council or something, I don't think I would even have an impact. Could I play good defense? Could I play a good linebacker? Absolutely. Am I going to get anything done? Absolutely not. I'm not.
Do you think?
What about running for mayor?
Well, again, I had the opportunity to run. I would have been on this ballot, and I turned it down. I would have been on a party line. I turned it down because I truly believed I would be undermining and undercutting Curtis Sliwa, and I truly believe that Curtis Sliwa has a chance to win this election. And I think that Republicans, the mainstream media, the billionaires, and Midwest social media influencers are attempting to steal it from him to ensure Democrat rule in New York City, because guess what? It's great for the billionaires and it's great to fundraise around.
But I mean, in the future, John, like if Curtis isn't running or in Republican primaries, if you guys have that in New York.
I mean, let's get there when we get there. But I'll tell you, if it's, hey, John, I gave my lifeblood to the city. I gave up about $5 million being forced to retire early over my religious beliefs. I've been so greatly financially impacted. If it's that, you're going to run and, hey, John, you're not really going to be the mayor. We just want you to run to because what I've always said about politicians, I said, you know what the Republicans do in New York City? They run Republicans to lose. And then I got asked to run to lose, and I was like, I'm absolutely not doing that. I'm not. I respect myself more than that, and I respect my family more than that, because I know the attacks that'll happen against my children and my wife, and I know already what we gave up for the city, and I know what I continue to give up for the city. So if there's an actual chance that I could do it, that the Republican GOP would be behind me and not undercut me later on in the election like they continuously do over and over again to ensure that Bill de Blasio gets in office, to ensure that Eric Adams gets in office, and now to ensure that a Zohran Mamdani gets in office. I absolutely will not run. I'll just call the shots like I've been calling it the whole time and continue to undermine and undercut them and expose exactly what's happening in New York City that for some reason nobody could see.
Yeah. It'd be interesting though to see you out there, I think, in the future. Go for it. Just to, at least get in a debate stage or see how you could do on social media or whatever.
I would crush them. They would never be able to stand on the debate stage with me. None of them.
I think it's something worth trying one day. See how it goes.
Well, I know you have your own platform, and you've had. I mean, look, you did more than we've done. Like, you talked to Zoran. I don't think I could talk to Zoran. I would probably end up screaming at him because I have an anaphylactic reaction to communism. You did more than I did, so than I could. So for that, John, I give you credit and much respect for that.
Well, I was trying to expose to the Republicans and the Democrats to who he was, and nobody was taking it serious. And I don't believe that I'm a genius. I don't believe that I have a crystal ball. I believe that it was all intentional. He could have been beat in the Democratic primary very easily. He was allowed to win by the mainstream media and the billionaires. No, it was right out there in the open for everyone that was paying attention. I was screaming it from the mountaintops. I brought him on to show everybody this guy, and I was telling everyone, this guy's going to win. You're going to have a socialist mayor. I was doing it when Sid said, oh, nobody's seen it. He's full of shit. Everybody's seen it.
Michael, I got one last question for you. You really think there's a sentiment that I've been seeing a lot of online where they'll say something like, well, perhaps we should have a Zoran in the mayor's office so that people get a good glimpse of what socialism really is. People get an object lesson in what communism truly is. And I'm just like, there are 8.5 million people who live in the 5 boroughs. There are middle-class people who are struggling to get to work every day. They struggle to work. They struggle to survive. They're getting crushed. Okay? They are literally transforming the streets. DOT, they're turning Flatbush Avenue in Brooklyn, one of the busiest streets in the entire city. They are turning it into a busway. They are putting a busway up the middle of the street. Okay? Not widening the street. They can't widen it, but they're eliminating one southbound travel lane between Atlantic Avenue and Grand Army Plaza to make this busway. Okay? Why am I bringing that up? Because the powers that run this city are actively working to make life worse for people. They are going to expand congestion pricing to the outer boroughs. I've already seen the gantries in Brooklyn. I've already seen them. They were setting them up on the BQE heading down towards Staten Island. I've already seen them. Okay. You cannot tell me, why would you, my question to the people to the powers that run this city and to the billionaire class, why do you want to subject the people of New York City to that kind of lesson?
Simple, because they hate you. They hate you. They hate the working class people. You're a useless mouth breather. You take up their space. You cause them traffic while they're going to their foo-foo restaurants. You're good to serve them stuff. You're good to drive them around. You're good to be their bodyguard. You're good to clean their apartments. You're good to do whatever they need, but they hate you. And here's the thing. All the stuff that you're talking about, it truly is socialism. It's tyranny. We had our businesses shut. We had our kids kept out of school. They forced you at masks. They forced you to put a medical product in your body that didn't even work, and we all knew it. They lied to us over and over and over again about everything. They kept you from your church. They had people having secret weapons, secret weddings. You know how many secret confirmations and communions and secret weddings I had to go to during COVID? And then we were demonized. This is we have religious freedom in this country, but not in New York City. I would leave New York City and go to Jersey, and I'm like, well, I don't understand what this is. My kids couldn't go to school. They were forced to be masked. My disabled daughter couldn't get treatment because of a fucking bullshit virus. And all of this shit that you're talking about, fundamentally, none of it changes with Andrew Cuomo. None of it changes with Zohran Mamdani. It's going in the same exact direction. Congestion prices coming. They're going to move the cars out. They're going to hand the city over to developers. They're going to take the say away from community boards and hand it to Bill Ackman and every other fucking pedo that was fucking on Epstein Island and all these other jerk-offs. They're going to hand it over to all of them. And we're going to be the ones that voted it in because we were too fucking weak to do the right thing when it was time to do the right thing. We let ourselves be scared into running to the people that created all the problems that we're talking about, and now we're running to you for help. Please let the Epstein class tell us what to do and how to live our lives and tell us what food is food. Do you remember when Andrew Cuomo told us what food was? Chicken wings weren't food, according to Andrew Cuomo, but a substantive form of food was a sandwich, and that's the only way you could keep your business open is if you had a sandwich. This is what we're headed towards. We have an ability to change it, and we're not. The Republican Party is attempting to save the Democratic Party, and it's beyond fucking repair. They are communist. They are communist socialist. Does Andrew Cuomo present better than Zohran Mamdani? Absolutely. Fundamentally, there is zero difference between them. Zero.
And on that note,
damn,
John, I thank you, brother, for coming.
Sorry,
on.
I ranted, bro. I just get a little.
No, dude, no. Listen.
No, I appreciate that, man.
This has been a fantastic show. I really appreciate you coming on here and giving us exactly how you feel, pulling no punches, and doing and just being real with the people here who are watching. How can people get consume your content and get a hold of you?
Yeah, I'm John D. Macari. I'm on X. I'm on Instagram. Go over the Finest Unfiltered at YouTube. We got New York's Finest Retired and Unfiltered podcast, which I host with Eric Dim and Marlon Bethel. We got the Executive Perspective with Chief Rob Lukash, Inspector Ron Layson. We got the Sal Greco Show. We have the 10-4 Tavern with the whistleblower for Fast and Furious, Pete Forcelli, former NYPD homicide detective turned ATF agent. And we also have Tom Joyce, former murder police, on there. So check us out there at the Finest Unfiltered on YouTube. We're also on Rumble and anywhere else you could watch or listen to a podcast.
Damn, you got a whole network, man. God damn.
We got a whole network.
God damn, man.
Yeah. You weren't kidding, bro. You weren't kidding.
No, that's interesting. John gave us a real, I think, interesting perspective. One you don't hear as much. A lot of people might think it's very cynical, but I think there's a lot of truth to it. Honestly, a lot of truth to it, and it might really be exactly how it is. I feel my opinion's been moved a bit. Like I do kind of see, that I think it's probably best to just vote for Sliwa at this point. Where the chips fall where they may, and it does seem, and if you guys are right about this, groundswell and how everybody knows him in New York and seems to like him, I mean that could be huge on election day. So might as well just vote for Sliwa.
Nino, I went through my social media the other day and I was like, I don't even like Facebook. I'm like completely shadow banned on. I have like 7,000 followers. It never goes anywhere. But for some reason, someone said, "Oh, go look at Facebook," or they sent me my Facebook link, and I never look at it. So I look at it, and I don't even have a lot of followers on it. I have 7,000 followers. I put a video out, and I start going through the comments, and I'm like, and what I've been saying for a while is like, why I got onto Mondani early was because of his social media game, and Cuomo has never had a social media game other than paid Midwest influencers coming on, same as they did with Adams. Same people that were telling you only Adams, then telling you only Cuomo. And they don't know nothing about New York City politics. They never talk about it. You know, all of a sudden they just wake up, they start talking about it. So I go through my comments and I'm like, how many Cuomo comments are in here? And I go, Sliwa. And I'm going down and I'm like, holy shit. And I do it for about 30 minutes on one post. I found 2 Mondani ones and 1 Cuomo. And it wasn't even his full name. It was just that Sliwa couldn't win. They didn't even say I'm voting for Cuomo. And then I'm like, I wonder what my Instagram and my ex have, because I got a lot more followers there. I get a lot more engagement. I get millions and millions of impressions each month. And I get a lot of engagement on X and on Instagram. I go over there, same thing. Sliwa. Go to the streets. Did you see outside of the debates? The streets were flooded with Sliwa. You didn't see nothing. It was like nothing for Cuomo. You had the Zoranistas, they came out, but Sliwa was the clear cut, had the clear amount. So the groundswell's there. My fear now is that there's enough people have been bought into the messaging that he can't win. And it's a complete lie. And what they did is vote for Andrew Cuomo, but what they're going to get is Zoran Mondani.
Well,
right. Yeah, I think you're right. That is the risk.
Well, we here at Apostate Radio will pray to the end that Sliwa. I think I'm fully. I'm like you, Nino. I think I'm probably even more on the Sliwa train than I already was.
Yeah.
And
definitely after this conversation.
And if I can say this to Curtis and to Nancy, seeing as we had you on the show, I pray we pray for your safety. We pray that you can bring it, that you make it to election day, and we also pray for victory. So with that in mind, I think we can call it a night, boys. This has been fantastic. I want to thank each and every one of you. Before we go, Joker King says, I haven't watched a live podcast this damn good in years.
All right, Joker King. Thanks, man.
Thank you, Joker. We appreciate
a lot
you.
of that was because our guest here, John Macari, of course, but,
yeah.
Come check us out next week. Or next time we're on.
No, we're gonna have a show next week. We're gonna have a show.
Get my girl Athena on. Get her on. I'll hook you guys up.
We had her on last time. Latina Brown.
No, Athena Clark.
Oh, Athena Clark. Yeah. Oh yeah, let's get her on. Yeah, no doubt.
But like I'm working on something for next week. But in 2 weeks, we've got a big show, a really big show. I'll have more details on that for our, November 9th.
That'd be good.
So I believe that is. I just have to confirm with our guest for that. But other than that, guys, thank you all very, very much for joining us tonight. We thank you, John. Thank you again for joining us.
Thank you for having me, guys.
This has been Apostate Radio episode 32. Y'all have a great night. Take care and get home safe if you're driving, or if you're getting ready for bed. Good night. Sleep tight. Yeah, this is.
When a man running for mayor says, "We came here to remake this state in the image of our people,"
we came here to remake this state in the image of our people,
you should probably believe him. That's not a slip of the tongue, America. That's a mission statement. And here's the question every New Yorker ought to ask. What exactly does he mean by our people? Because the last time I checked, this state was built on Christian grit, moral law, and a constitution written under the eyes of the Almighty. Not a foreign manifesto written halfway around the world. If you wanted that, go to one of the 51 Islamic states that already exist. Now, some folks try to wrap this in the word they don't even understand, taqiyya. The Quran mentions it only in one sense, hiding your faith under persecution. It was never meant as a license to deceive, lie, manipulate your way into power. I guess some politicians missed that fine print while campaigning under diversity, equity, and inclusion. You know, the DEI mandate. But let's talk a little bit of law. Under Title 8 USC subsection 1451, denaturalization is possible only if the government proves fraud or willful misrepresentation in the citizenship process, concealing allegiance to another power, committing perjury, or aiding an enemy. Which is, you see that note right there by his father? That's who raised him, and they seem to think suicide bombers are fine. Actually, they think that they're underutilized. That's what I mean when I say aiding an enemy. It's rare, but it's real. Ideology alone doesn't do it, but deception does. So if any man stood before a federal officer, swore loyalty to the United States of America, and then turn around and vow to remake that state in the image of his people, that oath deserves scrutiny. Because America isn't a sandbox for imported theocracies. It's a covenant nation. One nation. Under God. Not under Allah, but under God. Not under Sharia. Not under socialism. Not under any other flag. We don't need to remake New York. We need to redeem it. The blood, the faith, and the labor that built it were already enough. And every politician who forgets that, remember, you swore to defend this republic, not redesign it.